Welcome to Pick Me Up, I'm Scared, the podcast.
I'm your host, Madeline.
And I'm your co-host, Kenna.
All right, Kenna, today I'm starting by asking you a question I already know the answer to. It is, did you ever want to be famous?
Oh, yeah. When I was younger, for sure.
Yeah, like I was wondering, because I know you've said this before. I'm familiar with the Kenna pop star dream.
I could still do it one day.
You totally can. You definitely can. Like, what was appealing to you about the idea of being famous? Like, what did you think it would be like? What about that sounded good?
I thought I would be respected. I thought that people would take me seriously. And, I think that I was like, well, if I'm rich, then I don't have to worry about this is like fucked up saying, like, you don't have to worry about like the social safety net where you're just like, then I won't ever be broke again.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. I think that that's a common thing. Like, people always say, like, I want to be rich and famous, but they're, like, not necessarily the same thing.
Yes. And I think then that I'm like, oh, well, like, then I'm an artist and then, like, my life means something. So it was, like, a combo of thinking that it would give me, like, meaning and a safety net and respect, which is, like, not guaranteed by fame or success.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Because, like, I think about, like, the dude from the Beach Boys who, like, or, like, people who are just, like, I was, like, famous. I had, like, $1 million in my bank account, and they end up living in their cars.
Yeah, I actually recently learned that Pamela Anderson now lives in a trailer park in a one-bedroom mobile home.
Wow.
But when they say that, they try to make it look like a riches to rags story, but in reality, she still owns like 9 properties. One's just being remodeled, and she just really likes living in this trailer park because it's right next to the beach. And she's like, everyone here is cool, and I get to walk to the beach every day.
Like Betsy Johnson.
Like Betsy Johnson style, yeah. But still, I thought that was interesting because at her height, she did have like a $35 million net worth, and she definitely isn't there now. She owns like little cabins around Canada and remote areas.
But that's still, like, she's got a safety nest,
She has a safety net,
like, she has a
sure.
retirement, and is she hooking up with Julian Assange?
Oh,
is that the celebrity gossip I heard?
I don't know that
so
at
I was
all.
like, maybe, like, I'm sure she has, like, I don't know, like, it seems like, she's got her, if she can live it, like, honestly, because I think we were trying to figure out what the cheapest place in Malibu would be.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, wasn't it, like, $7,000 a month?
Yeah, we did struggle to find affordable housing in Malibu, which I think says a lot because I think that we're pretty good about finding affordable housing usually.
Yeah, you're, like, the master at finding, like, cheap apartments on Craigslist. But, like, no, we looked at Malibu, and it was, like...
It was a lot.
Shocking. Like, even, like, a studio was, like 10 G's.
Yeah, it was a lot of money, definitely Malibu. It was very, very expensive. But, there is the trailer park there. The space rent is still very expensive for the trailer park.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, like, the space rent was, like, $12,000 a month or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Like, to me, this is what I would do. I would live in Calabasas and just commute to the beach.
Calabasas is expensive, too.
That's true.
Calabasas
Well, actually,
so
I would not.
expensive.
I would just live in LA and commute to the beach.
Yeah, I live in LA because I like LA.
But I'm like, if I had to live by the beach, I would probably, actually, if I had to live by the beach, Long Beach is pretty cool.
Long Beach is super cool. I would picture you more Topanga vibes, maybe.
Yeah, Topanga. Yeah, that's more my vibe. I didn't realize, I forget that it's very close to the beach.
Yeah, Topanga, if you are not from Los Angeles, Topanga is cool because it's like kind of up in the foothills by the beach, but it's very like crunchy, hippie granola vibes.
Yeah, but I also think that if you want to live on the beach, there's probably more affordable places.
Yes, there
in
totally
California. Is. But yeah, but anyway, yeah, you do hear of riches to rags stories,
You totally do, but I get what you're saying. It's like the fame, being well known by everybody, was only minimally appealing to you. It was appealing because it would grant you some notion of like respect. But beyond that, the things you really were looking for were financial stability.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of the Rodney Dangerfield, like, I can't get no respect.
Got it.
That was a really bad Rodney Dangerfield impression.
I think it's totally fine. I honestly have not heard him talk in 20 years, so it sounded identical to me.
But, like, it's, like, I'm like, like, I feel like, I don't know, especially, like, now I realize, like, I was ADHD and maybe putting, like, the neurotypicals, I was putting off some weird vibes. But now, or, like, I don't know. I think that, like, it was just more, I'm like, if I'm successful, people will respect me and they'll want to be my friend. And now I realize, like, anyone who wants to be your friend just because you have clout is, like...
That's not someone you want to be your friend.
Yeah, because
you don't want to be friends with
as
them.
soon as, like, the, tough times happen, they're going to bounce, dude.
They're totally going to bounce. So this is obviously really interesting to me because I never had any desire to be famous, like, ever. But I remember that a lot of my friends did. It seemed like common. Like, everyone wanted to be famous, and I was always like, I don't want that at all. And now, of course, I'm cursed with 1.3 million followers on TikTok. That's my curse.
Isn't that how it goes? Like,
yep.
You can't always get what you want.
Right. And we talked about this a little bit on our bonus episode last week on our Patreon. And I was just really thinking about that whole idea of celebrity and fame and what it means. Like, do you even think that in our perfect utopia there would be celebrities?
Okay, this is where I actually agree with Andy Warhol. I think that everyone in a utopia would be treated as if they were famous. They'd be like, "Oh my God, Toby!"
Yes.
Like, Toby lives down the street, and they do painting, and they are, like, where you just treat everyone like a celebrity.
Because you respect people for their, like,
yeah, or you
human
just
nature.
know. Yeah, where it's just like, or people are just like, oh yeah, like, everyone knows everyone. Like, that's, to me, it's like, sometimes people, like, are really good at doing certain things. I just went to Knott's Scary Farm, and there was a guy who went on this, like, twirling thing that went, like, 50 feet up in the air. I don't know how to describe it, but it was, like, was a circle that turned on a circle, so he went really in the high in the air, and he was doing, like, jump rope.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what? That is a skill not many people can do. Like,
right.
I respect that.
So you're thinking that in utopia, everyone would have their 15 minutes of fame because we would intrinsically respect everybody's humanity and therefore their ability to accomplish anything that they were kind of good at.
Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah. And sometimes people do weird stuff, or sometimes you're just like, yeah, that person just... Yeah, he's my neighbor.
Or you just like them. Maybe the thing they're good at is just that their vibes are strong.
Yeah, or, like, that's one thing, too, where it's, like, it's really funny to me because I feel like I've had maybe not a lot of, but I have some friends who are, like, by other people considered, like, grouches, Mm-hmm. But I love them. Like, where it's like they don't have the vibe of someone who's like, I'm the popular, rich and famous person, but I'm just like, I still just like them. Like, even though that sometimes they're, like, kind of Debbie Downer.
Yeah, crotchety. No, I like that. I think that what you're saying is that everybody, when you see their humanity and you value them as, like, a whole, like, as a whole human experience, you can see beauty and everything about them to the extent that, like, you have no choice but to be really happy that they exist in the world.
Yeah, and I do think that, like, celebrity especially obviously can be a bad thing, especially when, like, I don't know, like, people, like, glamorize, like, serial killers and shit.
Yeah, that's
I'm,
weird.
like, not
really
down
weird.
with that.
It's really weird.
Yeah, it's just like, what? Like, no, ew. They're, like, icky creeps.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question on this idea, though. Can entertainment exist without celebrity or fame?
Huh. Maybe that's, like, a philosophical question, but I mean, like, there's probably people you've seen on shows that were, like, minor characters that you, like, love, but you're just like, I don't know what the fuck their name is.
Yes, there is an actress, actually, this is a great example that you've just given me, because this is totally it. There is an actress whose name I do not know. She was in Dude, Where's My Car? She played one of the Zoltan cult members. She was in a lot of kind of movies and TV shows in the early 2000s, and always had this quirky character bit that she would do, but
it's not Josh Todd's wife.
I don't know who Josh... Oh, no, I know who Josh Todd is. The guy from...
Buck Cherry.
Yes, the guy from Buck Cherry. No, it's not her. No, this is like a quirky, weird girl. She's not like a hot lady, Her character type is quirky. But anyway, I just always really, really enjoyed this woman. Every time she had a role, she was able to bring nuance to it, and usually they were very two-dimensional, just like weird girl roles. And I have an aversion to, like, weird girl casting. That's why I hated Natalie Portman for so long.
Do you like Zooey Deschanel?
Well, now I do, but because I wasn't supposed to. She was so over the top weird girl that everyone hated her, and I was like, you know what? I like her.
Because she is the manic pixie dream girl.
She is, but there's a self-awareness to her that I respect, which she brought to New Girl when New Girl came out. That's why I liked New Girl, because she was very self-aware of the trope, and she was just like, you know what? Like, I just like frilly, stupid shit, and I think that I'm still valid, even though I like cutesy, weird shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, this is one thing I agree with, like, Nicki Minaj, where she's just like, so what? I like fucking Barbie shit and, like, girly shit. Like,
yeah.
So the fuck what? I kind of feel the same, where it's like, so what if I like stupid, quirky shit? Like, who fucking cares?
Right. And that's why I liked Zooey Deschanel, because she was conscious of it. There was a self-awareness. She was funny about it. But yeah, no. So also this very random character actress whose name I don't remember. I loved her. She's very entertaining to me. Source of joy. Absolutely no celebrity or fame attachment to her whatsoever. So I think that does answer the question that celebrity doesn't have to go hand in hand with entertainment. It's something we create out of a weird darkness within us.
Yeah, and sometimes people are especially good at their craft.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes you're just like, a little applause for you.
I feel like that's like the Shakespeare actors in New York or something in the park.
Tip of the hat.
Yes.
my invisible fedora, tip to you.
Yes. Well, okay, so obviously talking on our bonus episode about celebrity and fame got me curious about a lot of ideas that I have that have been half floating in my head about celebrity and fame in general. Like, I was curious just about, like, why the idea of fame appealed to some people and didn't to others. I know it's like a different strokes for different folks kind of thing, but, you know, it just was interesting to me because I do remember growing up, other kids all wanted to be pop stars and wanted to be famous, and I felt like it was pretty common. So I looked it up, actually, and I was wondering what % of Americans wanted to be famous. And if you had to guess, what would you guess?
75%?
It is 30%.
Oh, wow.
Right? A lot lower than I thought, too.
Okay. Maybe I'm just going to take a wild guess here that it might be because a lot of my friends are artists, especially, like, performing artists. So maybe that's because if you're famous as a musician or whatever, that's how you make money.
Yeah, you're financially stable and you get to do your art. You don't have to work a job you hate. Right. Well, what I thought was that, okay, all of my ideas about who wants to be famous, they actually come from, like, childhood sleepovers. So when I looked it up, kids do want to be famous more than adults do. So if you're a kid and an adult asks you, you know, like, what's your dream job? The top 5 responses from children today, number 1 is a YouTuber. Number 2 is a blogger or vlogger. Number 3 is a musician. Number 4 is an actor. And number 5 is a filmmaker. So basically, I think by adulthood, we grow out of those desires because we probably come to have a more complex and multifaceted understanding of what fame entails, right? But as a kid, that stuff just sounds exciting. You want to be famous. And I don't know, I thought this was, like, interesting because obviously into adulthood, people do still want to be famous. Like, do you know about John Hinckley?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, to impress Jodie Foster.
Yes.
And she came out later and was like, low-key, I was impressed.
No. Jodie. I mean, it is Ronald Reagan.
He goes on tour and he sells his art.
Is his art interesting?
I think it's good.
I mean, he did try to take out one of the most evil men of all time.
I'm not a fan of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting that he was like, I need to be famous enough to impress Jodie Foster. What can I do? And he's like, I'll just try to kill this guy. And this also reminded me of Morrissey.
Oh, really?
Yes, because, okay, I know Morrissey is like a weird fucking nationalist dipshit now, but obviously I grew up listening to Morrissey before I knew about his horrific political takes, because this was pre-Twitter. We didn't know. We just had to guess. And it reminded me of that Morrissey song, The Last of the Famous International Playboys.
Oh, yeah. I was listening to a Smiths album the other day, and he talks, you know that Paint a Vulgar Picture song?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's, like, talking about, like, a dead pop star?
Yes.
I was thinking about that too.
Okay, so in the song The Last of the Famous International Playboys, he's actually talking about the celebrification of serial killers and our obsession with true crime and murder.
Oh, whoa.
And this is way back, so he was early on this shit. So the lyrics say, in our lifetime, those who kill, the news world hands them stardom, and these are the ways on which I was raised. And then kind of the chorus is like, I never wanted to kill. I am not naturally evil. Such things I do just to make myself more attractive to you. Have I failed?
Wow.
And it's pretty good. So, Morrissey actually has failed us in a lot of ways. But I don't think he failed with the lyrics to The Last of the Famous International Playboys. I think that stands up. And I think it's a pretty good and timely, poignant critique of true crime today.
Yeah. And how you can become a celebrity for good or bad.
Right. Okay, so back on the celebrity thing. Do you know what % of the world's population is famous? Like living today.
1?
Okay, it's way less than that. It's 0.0086% of the world.
Oh.
And this is like a really hard thing to quantify and calculate, but I actually really like the way this one guy did it because it's so simple and it's just like one of those things that's so simple that it's kind of genius. He just was like, oh, okay, how many Wikipedia pages are there for living people?
Oh.
Because they're notorious enough, they're alive, they're notorious enough to have a Wikipedia page, they're famous, somebody's made it. So it's not perfect, but I liked that approach because of its simplicity. And
that does. Whoa, that blew my mind. I was like, I think that is a good measure of whether you are famous, not whether you have an IMDb page.
No. So this guy who came up with this method is named Samuel Arbisman, and he's a mathematician. And he was just like, this is an easy shortcut. It's too hard to quantify any other way, but this is pretty good. I took the total number of, Wikipedia pages for living people. I divided it by the population of the planet, and the percent was 0.0086%, and that's as close as we're going to get.
It kind of reminds me of how, the 0.01% own, the majority of wealth or some shit like that.
Yes, these are the people that own our Wikipedia pages.
Whoa.
If the Wikipedia pages were commodified.
If I were a conspiracy theorist.
So I was thinking about all this. I was thinking about fame. And this line of thinking was, like I said, definitely encouraged by our recent conversation on our Patreon bonus episode. So I just kind of realized that I had a lot of questions about what it meant to be famous, from the psychological effects, the history of fame, the prevalence of fame, all sorts of things. And yeah, it led me to choose today's episode topic, which is indeed celebrity and fame.
Ooh.
Okay, so to start off our episode on fame, I thought maybe we could do a multiple choice quizzy.
Ooh, I love these.
Okay, yeah, you're so good. Okay, so I'm going to read off some quotes from celebrities about fame. And then I'm going to do a multiple choice kind of thing where I'll name 3 people and then you tell me who said it.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Okay, so there's 10 of them. Sorry. There's a lot. There's a lot. All right. Okay, number 1. People don't realize how lonely you are. In any case, I feel fortunate because success didn't reach me very young. At least I had the opportunity to have a life before. Was this Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, or Julia Stiles?
Zoe Kravitz?
It was Robert Pattinson.
Whoa, but he was young!
I know.
For Harry Potter.
No. That was Daniel Radcliffe.
No, but Robert Pattinson was in Harry Potter.
Who was he in Harry Potter?
He was the spoiler alert, he was the kid who got killed.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
In, the Goblet of Fire.
Okay, I don't remember this This is shocking information to me.
I do know the Harry Potter.
Okay, I trust you. All right, I stand corrected.
I'm just saying, fuck J.K. Rowling, but I do know about Harry Potter.
I thought Robert Pattinson didn't exist until Twilight. I thought he manifested spontaneously.
I think his name was Cedric.
He was
something?
Cedric? Oh my gosh. Okay, yes.
Yeah, he definitely was in Harry Potter.
Okay, wow, I love that. He did not spontaneously generate from
So I'm just
from a Mormon
are you just
vampire
talking about
book.
being a very small child?
I think he probably is talking about being very famous. Because I know he talked about how Twilight changed his life and ruined his life.
I'm thinking, I guess very young. I think of Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, who are our age.
Yes. They were
and
very
they
young.
were so famous.
They were 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. And when we were kids, there was the Mary-Kate and Ashley brand. Mm-hmm. There was all the movies. I think they do have a Halloween movie that's called Double Trouble that is actually good.
I think I remember this. Yes. Okay. Are you ready for the second one?
Yes.
All right. Whatever your worst experience in high school, when you were being bullied by those 10 kids in high school, fame is that, but on a global scale, where you're being bullied by millions of people constantly.
Sounds right.
Is this Bella Hadid, Kourtney Kardashian, or Megan Fox?
Megan Fox?
It is Megan Fox. You might remember when she
ding.
became famous, she was bullied mercilessly for her thumbs. By the whole world. The whole world bullied her for having ugly thumbs.
I'm just hot take. Megan Fox is hot.
I don't think it's a hot take. She's a very hot woman.
She is hot.
She's a very hot woman. Yes. No, but she was very badly.
So you
bullied
gotta
for
think.
her thumbs.
You gotta. So like people gotta find the one thing to make you human, and she has human thumbs.
I mean, her thumbs were enlarged and put on the covers of magazines. She was really bullied for her thumbs, and she was bullied growing up. So it was really, really hard for her.
For her thumbs?
For everything. She was very bullied growing up. Lots of hot girls were bullied growing up.
Well, that's like, okay, like I knew this girl who was a model, like literally, like, you know when you meet people who you're like, you're not wearing makeup and you look like this. You're like, very conventionally, like, whoa, you are conventionally, like, magazine.
You're the beauty standard.
You are the beauty standard. But she was like, yeah, I was bullied mercilessly for my teeth.
Yeah. So that's how it is. So Megan Fox, she had a really bad time when she became famous. It was really, really weird.
Oh, that's awful.
Yes. Okay. Are you ready for the third one?
Yes.
All right. There is nothing good about being famous. You always think, if I'm successful, then I'll have opportunities. You never figure the cost of fame will be a total loss of privacy. That's incalculable. What a burden that is for anybody. It was unanticipated, and I have never enjoyed it. Was that Tilda Swinton, Harrison Ford, or Carrie Fisher?
Carrie Fisher?
It was Harrison Ford.
Dang.
He went on to explain that he can get tables at restaurants, he can get doctor's appointments, but nothing else is of benefit in his life, and he never wants to leave his house to even go to the restaurant because it's so annoying.
Yeah, he seems like a very, he gives the vibe of like a crotchety guy. I will say I recently, for the first time, watched The Fugitive, and I was so engrossed in that movie.
Oh, I should rewatch it. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do love the psychological thriller as a genre.
Okay.
Like Double Jeopardy with Ashley Judd, one of my favorite movies.
I was not allowed to watch PG-13 movies as a kid, so all of these cool 90s action movies I missed.
Wow. Okay, that's why we have to watch Face Off. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, that's why I didn't watch. Well, actually, Face Off, I think maybe came out when I could have seen it, but for some reason, it just passed me by. I don't know how.
No, we gotta watch it. We should do a bonus episode on the Patreon where we watch Face Off and then have a conversation discussing it.
I'm down.
Okay, I love that. All right, number 4. Everyone is trying to get into your business. I don't like people staring at me all the time, and I don't want people following me around. Was this Vanessa Hudgens, Justin Bieber, or Britney Spears?
Vanessa Hudgens?
Yes, it was Vanessa Hudgens.
Okay, I say this because I think she's the least famous of all three.
Yes.
And I think that, like, some people, when they reach, like, really, really high levels, are way more couched in talking about that kind of stuff.
Maybe.
Or, like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like when people are not A-list, they act more A-list than an A-lister would.
Interesting. I mean, I definitely have seen videos of Justin Bieber talking to people in front of his house being like, you cannot be here. Like, I know you're a fan. That's really cool. I live here. Like, I don't... Would you want somebody making you work in front of your house every day? Like, Can you give me privacy? Can you give me peace? So, and then obviously Britney Spears. Britney Spears loves her fans, though. She really does. But she doesn't like fame.
But I just figured not her because she had the conservatorship for a long time. Yeah,
she was very controlled. No,
so, yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 5. Being a celebrity is dumb. I'm not interested in it. I'm just being honest. I would rather do my work and go home and watch Lifetime or something. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is this Paul Rudd, Leslie Mann, or Zach Galifianakis?
Zach Galifianakis?
Yes, it is. That is it. Also,
the Lifetime movie, I was just like, Leslie Mann seems a little bit too cool to watch Lifetime movies.
Yes. I could see Paul Rudd liking a Lifetime movie, though. Also, I think his name might be pronounced Zach Galifianakis, and I've been saying it wrong my whole life. There's an L in there, I think.
I thought it was Zach Galifianakis.
That's what I thought, but I think there is an extra L, but that's not important. We can Google him sometime. Okay, number 6. Are you ready?
Yes.
Being in the public eye is so weird. People want to shame you. It's not a celebration of a talent. Is this FKA Twigs, Nicki Minaj, or Dua Lipa?
Nicki Minaj?
It is FKA Twigs.
Oh.
She also had a hard time getting famous.
Ah.
Yeah, she did not enjoy it. And she is around our age. I thought she was much younger.
Really? You know, that kind of makes sense because I feel like she's been around for a while. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I think she's my age.
Yeah, she is 34.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next up. Number 7. Fame is the worst thing in the world.
Mm.
Okay, is this Kristen Stewart, Miley Cyrus, or Taylor Swift?
Kristen Stewart?
It is Kristen Stewart, yes.
I have met Kristen Stewart before and was so lovely.
She's really nice.
Was really nice. And I was working retail, though. And I was like, you know what? If someone's really nice to the retail person and you, like, that is... Because not a lot of people are nice to the retail person.
Yes. There's actually a TikTok right now where this girl talks about how she worked at a nail salon and Paris Hilton was a regular at the nail salon, and that one day Paris Hilton had just got like a restraining order against an ex, was going through a lot, and she came into the nail salon and she was really quiet, and everyone was like, okay, like usually she's really nice and friendly to everybody, but everyone tried to give her space because she'd just been through like a trauma. And these two girls were also in the nail salon, and they were there on vacation, and they were like, oh my God, that's Paris Hilton. And Paris Hilton, like, got up even though she was in a bad mood and just been through some shit, and she sat with the girls and took selfies with them and was like, are you guys liking your trip? And this girl made this TikTok being like, Paris Hilton's literally the nicest person in the world. Like, she didn't have to do that. And she went out of her way for these people, like, she knew what it meant to be Paris Hilton. And then Paris Hilton saw the TikTok and commented and was like, I remember you. Like, remembered her from working at the nail salon.
Yeah, like, there's a couple people who are famous who... Like, I was just like, sometimes you're like, I'm like, I think I know why you're famous. It's because you're nice.
Right.
I mean, Kristen Stewart is obviously, like, hot and a good actor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know how to tell when people are good actors or not. Like, I have, like, actor friends who are, like, they are acting so terribly right now. And I'm just like, I didn't even notice.
No, I can't tell at all. I have no idea. Okay, so number 8. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I wake up every morning with the worst anxiety. I don't know why. I have a problem. I wake up every morning at like 7 or 8 because I think there's a bad story about me and I have to check. My worst fear is waking up and finding something bad about me on the internet. Was this Madonna, Kylie Jenner, or Snoop Dogg?
I don't think it's Madonna. I'm going to guess Kylie Jenner.
It is Kylie Jenner.
Because this is my feeling though. I feel like Madonna and Snoop Dogg are Gen X.
Yes.
So they don't understand like the social media viciousness as much because they had their careers in the 90s when you didn't have to say shit if you didn't want to.
That's
like,
true.
Think about like
we didn't know Morrissey had bad political opinions until Twitter.
Like you didn't know shit about like really huge celebrities like Tom Cruise or
nothing until he went on Oprah and did that weird thing.
Yeah, like everyone just thought he was normal until he jumped on the couch and then they're like, "Whoa, okay." Like
totally. It was a different ballgame back then.
Or like I think about people like Jennifer Aniston. Like even though they're still in the tabloids all the time, like which is funny to me. It's been so many years.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Jennifer Aniston.
I like listened to this like episode of a podcast them talking about like how Jennifer Aniston is like basically sells so many like those like People like Us Weekly and stuff. Like still, even though I think she's been divorced from Brad Pitt for like 15 years.
People just like want to like Jennifer Aniston
or feel sorry for her.
That's the thing though. That's why people want to like you.
But I think that like Kylie Jenner is like, you know, I think younger than us.
Yes.
She's not Gen Z.
No.
She's millennial, right?
And I don't know. She is younger than us though, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that she's a zillennial.
Yes, that makes sense.
So like she gets like how fast this stuff can go and like I mean, all the Kardashian Jenner careers are based off of like
the internet.
And like having access, like the TV, you know, it's just like so
access
that's someone who's way more in sync.
Yes, that's totally true.
Okay. And you know, I mean, don't get me started on Kylie Jenner, but no, I don't really care.
Okay, are you ready for number 9?
Yeah.
All right. If anyone besides famous people knew what it was like to be a famous person, they would never want to be famous. Was this Sia, Carly Rae Jepsen, or Adele?
Well, I'm going to go with Adele because although Sia, I read this really in-depth article on Sia about why she wears the mask wig thing. It's because she's like a lot older than normal pop stars.
Yeah, she's 46, I think.
Yeah, she's like 10 years older than us.
Right. It is Sia who said that.
Oh, okay. I was in between Sia and Adele because like Sia's story was like it was like so like where she had like made all this like music and stuff and then had like a breakdown and like stopped making music and then only picked it up again, I think, in like her late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah. Fun fact about Sia, she loves the Kardashians and Jenners.
Oh.
They are friends. And she's like, when you go to their house, it's like going home. They're family. Those are good girls.
I imagine that, like, their house is like when you, like, when I would, like, visit my cousin's house in Colorado, and, like, they just have, like, the comfy couches, all the snacks, all the TVs, all the channels, all the toys. And then, I don't keep up on the Kardashians.
No, I don't know anything about them. I've only heard them talk once, and it was in a commercial, and the TV was broken, so they were just screaming. So I tried to change it as fast as I could. Not because of them. I don't know anything about them. I have no opinions on them, but just that one channel was broken and at maximum volume on the television.
Yeah, I've watched a couple episodes of the Kardashians. One is a scene that I am not going to say on this podcast because it was disturbing to me.
Oh.
Let's just say it was like intimate details of sisters sharing between each other that I would not share with my sister.
Interesting. I don't have a sister. I don't know what's normal, but that is interesting. My best friend is in the title sequence for the new Kardashian show.
That's so cool.
I've seen that. Because I was like, oh my God, it's my best friend.
I've seen the episode where they go to Ernest Hemingway's house and they're like, oh, yes, history. And they like tried to make it a weird history lesson.
Is that the one in the Florida Keys with all the cats?
I can't remember if it's in the Florida Keys or if it's in Cuba.
Oh, he definitely had a house in the Florida Keys. I mean, I say definitely. I think he did, with a bunch of cats, and all the Hemingway cats are still there, and they're like this special type of cat that's been on the island forever in Key West.
It definitely seemed like a place that was more like, what's that part of like Florida, the Keys, like Cuba, what's that area called?
Like the Caribbean? Is it the Caribbean?
The Caribbean. It seems like somewhat Caribbean.
Yes. Okay, are we ready for the last one?
Yes.
All right, number 10. I'm not an extrovert, so I found that level of scrutiny and that level of fame really hard. I found it pretty horrific. It was traumatic. Was this Natalie Portman, Emma Watson, or Keira Knightley?
Natalie Portman?
It was Keira Knightley.
Oh.
She really struggled. And I remember seeing an interview where she became famous and she was on like a poster, and they photoshopped her boobs really big on the poster, but she's really flat chested. And she was looking at the poster and she was just like, what the fuck is this? And she did an interview where she was just pointing at the poster like, who is that? Why did they do this to me?
Famous for Pirates of the Caribbean?
I think she was in that. This was before that though. She was Joan of Arc, I think, in the 90s.
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, yeah.
I'm really struggling with the face, but I'm sure later I'll be like, aha!
Yes. Okay, so these quotes are all pretty depressing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really depressing. It sounds like these people are straight up not having a good time. And Kurt Cobain, for his part, actively hated being a celebrity so much that he even hated his fans, which is pretty similar to Megan Fox. He lumped his fans in with all the high school bullies he had growing up who made his life hell. And there's even that song in Bloom where Kurt Cobain talked about how much he did not like being a celebrity. And he's talking about one of his fans, and the lyrics are, he's the one who likes all our pretty songs, and he likes to sing along, and he likes to shoot his gun, but he don't know what it means. And he's basically like, okay, look, like, we blew up, and we have all these fans now. None of you fucking get us. You don't understand me at all. You're all kind of shitty people, and I don't understand why you like my band.
Yeah, I remember, like, reading somewhere where he was just like, I literally just wanted to be as famous as Sonic Youth.
Right, he never wanted to be famous at all. He just, like, wanted to make music. And I thought that was really interesting when he was talking about the fans, because even to this day, you can see it with a lot of Nirvana fans, especially in our age. Like, you know, we knew people in the 90s who were Nirvana fans when Kurt Cobain was still alive. And the band did have a really, like, aggro, masculine fan base. And Kurt Cobain himself was always very effeminate, a little bit queer, maybe, very, like, fluid, like, you know, wore dresses a lot, was bullied growing up for being too feminine or a little too gay. He was very, like, invested in, like, women's rights. Like, they would stop shows if women were getting fucked with and be like, no, you leave our show. Like, we don't fuck with this. His favorite bands were, like, the Shags, you know, like, weird, like, girl groups who weren't very good at playing their instruments. He's always like, this is fucking cool. So I always thought that was really interesting. I'm like, Kurt Cobain seems like he was really cool, like cooler than Nirvana was.
Yeah, like I had like an older boyfriend who was like in the Pacific Northwest in the 90s, but this was Alaska.
Yeah, oh, okay.
But like, you know, some runoff from Seattle, because that's like the biggest like town, and he's
right.
just like, yeah, all the jocks, he's like, I liked Nirvana, but all the jocks fucking liked Nirvana. Like, all the jocks like Soundgarden.
Yes, exactly. I think that's what Kurt Cobain really struggled with. I say that like I know, like I'm an expert. I'm like, I think that's what he struggled with. But no, I mean, he did talk about it before he died a lot. So, obviously you listen to all this stuff and you're like, wow, these people are like really not enjoying being famous. And this made me think about like the psychological impact of like being famous, like what it does to a person. And there's actually a lot of psychologists who talk about this. So, according to many psychologists, this kind of talk is pretty par for the course. There's this psychologist named Donna Rockwell who actually writes about this a lot. She wrote something called Ready for the Close-Up, Celebrity Experience and the Phenomenology of Fame. And she was like, look, fame is this dead-end cycle. It's like a merry-go-round. It just keeps going around in circles. It leads nowhere. And her research shows that fame changes a person's life forever. And it's felt more as like an impact or overnight experience rather than a gradual transition. It's like one day you just wake up and all of a sudden everybody knows who you are. And that is really sudden and really shocking to your system. And Rockwell explains that at first, the validation that comes with fame feels good. Lots of times it's like you're recognized for a talent or people like something about you. But this rapidly starts to change. A celebrity might become addicted to the positivity, but then feel forced to adapt to the negativity that inevitably follows, right? It's like a pendulum swing, like anything in life. People really love you, and then they really hate you. It becomes too cool to like you. People are going to be like, well, I'm different. I'm a contrarian. I don't like this person. So then what happens is inevitable backlash. So once a celebrity settles into their new reality that they're a famous person and the public whims are pendulum swinging around them and they have no control over it, they end up developing this character split out of like a survival instinct. So what ends up happening is a lot of people, when they are forced into a spot of celebrity, they end up developing this coping mechanism wherein there's the real them, the human being version of them, and then the celebrity version of them, which is more like a product or commodity. So this compartmentalization is a survival skill, and that kind of conveys this idea that, oh, once you become a celebrity, you're always in survival mode because you're always trying to survive this constant onslaught of attention, good or bad, but it's something that you're always contending with, and it can feel like you're getting hit with it all the time. And this reminded me of something that Amanda Seyfried said. When she was discussing her anxiety and panic attacks, she said that the more famous she got, the more they increased and the worse it got. And she said, it feels like life or death. That's what a panic attack is, really. Your body just goes into fight or flight. The endorphin rush and the dump that happens after the panic attack is so extraordinary. You just feel so relieved and your body's just kind of recovered in a way. And it's so bizarre because it's physiological, but it starts in your head. And that's kind of the experience that Kylie Jenner talked about with her fame too. She's got all the anxiety all the time. She's trying to ride the wave. So Rockwell, the psychologist, says that in the end, becoming famous usually leaves people feeling lonely, not secure. They feel like they have a bubble over them. They have no sense of family space. It's always violated. They have this sense that they're always being watched, which is really unsettling, like that fishbowl kind of mentality, or like they live in a locked room. And they usually struggle with the familiarity that breeds inappropriate closeness from everybody they meet. It's like you're meeting a stranger, but they're not meeting a stranger. And then you're like, oh gosh, this is like really uncomfortable. So Rockwell's studies conclude that most celebrities find themselves being ill-equipped for and struggling with the deluge of attention that comes with fame. So she says there's a loneliness that happens because you are separate. And Rockwell also goes on to say that being famous puts a strain on all of your regular social ties too. So you have like all these weird social interactions with people that you don't know who act like they know you. You've got all these weird interactions with like the media as a concept who are constantly having opinions about you. And lots of times you don't even have like your normal support system to fall back on, like your friends or family, because they end up becoming really strained by your fame. Like you're not able to have the same relationships with your friends and family that you used to. So lots of times people have very limited support systems from before they were famous, but they have a hard time trusting anybody that they meet after they become famous, which is why a lot of famous people feel very alone. So Selena Gomez actually talks about this at length because she struggled a lot with fame. And she says, I've cried on stage more times than I can count. Tours are a really lonely place for me. My self-esteem is shot. I was depressed, anxious. I started to have panic attacks right before going on stage or right after leaving the stage. Basically, I felt like I wasn't good enough, wasn't capable. Life is so stressful, and I get the desire to just escape it. And this is like a sentiment that a lot of famous people echo. Billie Eilish once said that 50% of being famous is horrible and miserable.
Yeah. I feel like not a lot of people, it's like you don't hear a lot of people being like, honestly, best thing that has ever happened. Or they're, to me, it's like a lot of people probably are just like, the best thing is like, I could buy a house, I could buy my mom a house, I have a car.
Right.
Like, weirdly, I'm just like, wait, is fame just like people have a safety net?
No, I think it really is, but
It's
the
like,
cost is very, very high.
like, yeah, like if you think about it, it's not normal for this many people to know your business.
No, it's really not. So lots of people, yeah, they end up horrible and miserable. And then what ends up happening is they don't have options for like release. Like, okay, if we have a bad day, what do we do?
Watch TV.
Okay, you might watch TV. I walk down the street to my neighborhood bar and I sit at a bar stool and I talk with the bartender who's my friend and I talk to the people who come into the bar and have conversations. I socialize, I drink a little, I decompress. It's like a fun little neighborhood activity. But like, you can't just do that shit when you're famous.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, yeah, sometimes, like, me and my sister will go out for a drink,
Or I'll go to a thrift store and get an iced coffee and drive around a little.
I do, like, minimal retail therapy. It's usually, like, I buy myself, like, a boba tea and, like, a book. Like, it's not
Right.
like, I've got, I try not to do too much of a retail therapy, but I think a little retail therapy is okay.
I'm the same way. Like, last week I was really stressed out, so my boyfriend and I were like, let's go see if there's any good patio furniture at any of the thrift stores. So we went to a couple thrift stores to look for good patio furniture. There wasn't any. I got an iced coffee while I was out. I spent $4, and I was like, this was a great whole day that I spent $4 doing.
Wow, I feel like you're saying a good thing where I'm just like, I feel like me, it's like usually minimum $30.
Oh, well, I only spend $40 a week on pointless stuff. That's my little budget.
I have more of that.
Oh, that's good. That's okay, though.
Otherwise, I've gotten my spending down from like...
there's no right or wrong budget. There's only what works for you.
Yeah, because I need my treats.
We all need
I feel like
treat.
there's like a meme going around where it's like, my treats.
No, we all deserve a little treat, and what we all need is different. So yeah, basically though, if you're famous, you can't just like go out into the world without it being a huge thing. And lots of times if you're stressed out, the things that you would usually do that you're like, oh, this brings me joy, this brings me comfort. If you're famous, it's probably going to compound on your stress. Like imagine you have a bad media day and you just want to relax. Well, you can't just go, to the flea market and to get an iced coffee. You had a bad media day, your face is all over all of the news, you go out in public, everyone knows who you are. It's more of it. You can't escape it.
Yeah, you could sit by your pool and Postmate something.
You could, but this is a thing that Lady Gaga talks about. Lady Gaga once described looking at her property line and realizing that she cannot be free once she steps on the other side of it.
Oh, because paparazzi. Sorry, I did karaoke last night.
Is that a Lady Gaga song?
Yes!
Oh, okay, so that's what she's talking about. I've never heard Lady Gaga song.
Okay, I thought I just realized I did a dad joke, but I had to do the paparazzi Lady Gaga.
I think I've only heard one Lady Gaga song, and it was the song Telephone, and it was inside of a Goodwill, but it was like years too late. That was it.
Honestly, Paparazzi I think is my favorite Lady Gaga song.
Okay, maybe I'll check it out. I probably won't though. But Lady Gaga said, I miss people. I miss going anywhere and meeting a random person and saying hi and having a conversation about life. I love people. And that one really struck me. That's me. I'm super extroverted too.
Well, I have a friend who used to be like acquaintances with Lady Gaga.
I had some friends who were acquaintances with Lady Gaga too, when she was Stephanie.
Yeah.
Stephanie from Brooklyn making electronic music.
And it was just like, honestly, like, to me, it's like probably like in that time, like the biggest you could be, you're like, I want to be as big as like whatever like the yeahs before they were like huge.
Yeah, no. You would be like, I want to be like Metric or Gravy Train.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I worked with a girl from Gravy Train.
Yeah. San Francisco. So they were there all the time. But yeah, so, she said this, and that was the one that, like, really struck me just because that's the shit I like to do, too. I love talking to strangers. I like getting to know people. I like hearing about people's lives. I like to go to the bar and strike up conversations with random people and get to know everything about them. And it feels like being a celebrity, you would think it would be, like, an extrovert's dream come true in a lot of ways. But because it's not a typical social interaction in any capacity, that's when I really realized that, like, being a celebrity is bad for introverts, obviously, because it's a lot of attention, it's a lot of social expectation, but it's also bad for extroverts because you're not able to just engage with people one-on-one like you're a person. And a lot of people who are extroverted need that kind of human interaction. They, like, thrive off of it, but you're never going to have a normal human interaction again if you're famous.
I'm just going to say, as someone who, like, I'm pretty sure I've been introverted my whole... It doesn't mean that don't like people. Like, when COVID happened, I couldn't do the flea market anymore because I did the flea markets every weekend. Right. And I was like, I thought I hated working retail. And I realized, like, oh, I don't hate working retail. Like, I hate dealing with rude people.
Right.
But I do miss talking to people. Like, because sometimes, like, you just have that random person who's just like, oh, yeah, look at my cute dog. And you're like, seeing this, like, puppy, like, Shiba Inu, like, literally saved my life today. Like, you don't realize, like, sometimes just those stupid, like, interactions where you're just like, this lady complimented me on my nails today, and, like, that felt really good, and that carried me throughout. Like,
no,
I don't
that's
know,
the
like,
thing. We're all social creatures.
Yeah.
Some people, your social battery just gets depleted more quickly.
Mine gets depleted very quickly.
Yeah, we are definitely also social creatures, though, and need socialization in lots of different ways. And yeah, it just struck me that it's like, oh, you can never have a normal social experience again if you're famous.
Yeah. Wow, that sucks.
I know. Daniel Craig once said, how could I go into a pub and have a few pints of Guinness and get a bit rowdy and sing a few songs when some twat's going to film me and put it on the internet?
Wait, who's Daniel Craig?
He's the actor. He's does, like, action movie acting.
Oh, he's James Bond.
Oh, yeah. He became James Bond, yes.
Okay.
So on top of this, you know, celebrities, since they're human beings, they also often struggle with mental health issues, which are then put through the lens of media distortion, too. So, Kenna, you know Howie Mandel?
Yes.
Okay, did you know Howie Mandel has obsessive-compulsive disorder?
No.
Okay, well, I read this and I was like, I have obsessive-compulsive disorder. And I was reading this and he can't shake people's hands.
Oh.
And even just as somebody who has a little bit of a following on the internet, I was like, oh, that's a problem. Because if you're a celebrity, people are going to come up to you, they're going to want to talk to you, especially if you're a man, they're going to want to shake your hand. And part of your job is to be approachable and friendly and likable. And if you have, like, a bad social interaction with a random person, now they can go on the internet and be like, fuck this person's an asshole. And it could really adversely affect your public image, and your public image is part of your job. So I was reading about how he can't shake people's hands, and it was probably, like, really violating and weird experience for somebody to come up to you and just want to shake your hand, and you have to be like, okay, am I supposed to tell you my entire medical history now to explain to you why I'm not comfortable touching your hand? And that's not something anybody should have to do. And yeah, I don't know. I just related to this because there are certain things I can't do because of my OCD, and I have, a small following on the internet. People really started to apply scrutiny and be really critical about why I couldn't do certain things online that lots of other people could do. And it got to the point where I was like, well, fuck, I guess I have to be super open about my mental health issues for the whole world now, even though I really feel like it should be none of their business, because otherwise everyone's going to think I'm this horrible, awful monster of a human being. So I had to disclose to people, like, oh, I have obsessive compulsive disorder, so there are certain things I cannot do. And even after telling people that, which I didn't feel like I should have to say, people still were applying a lot of scrutiny. They were like, that's no excuse. And I had to literally argue with people and say, shockingly, my mental health issues don't just go away because you don't like them or you feel like it shouldn't be that bad. It is that bad. This is how it is. And you don't get to have an opinion about them. That doesn't change them. Whatever I'm going through. And you not liking it doesn't make it magically disappear. So when I read about this Howie Mandel thing and not being able to shake people's hands, I was like, that is probably so fucking difficult for him in his job that he has to do because, I think now he's like a judge on The Voice or something like that. So he's interacting with a lot of people every day for his job. But if he wants to not be rude to somebody, he has to disclose his medical history to them so they don't hate him and think he's an asshole. Because, celebrities get, like, a bad rap. So I just thought that was really interesting because you're like, oh, yeah, like, if you are just like, I just want to act, that's my job. It's like, well, no, going along with that, now you have all of these other expectations of you, and you have to be this public figure, and if you're mentally ill, you just don't have the option to be mentally ill.
Yeah.
And that seemed really stressful to me. And, of course, being famous in itself, like, interacts with mental health, which can sometimes exacerbate or even create issues that weren't there before.
Yeah. I mean, like, plus it probably sucks, too, if, like, you're in a field like that, like in order to get jobs or gigs you want, you have to be famous.
Right, exactly. It's like, well, if I want to, this is my job. If I want to do this job, a whole component of it is that you have to be likable. So there's this Bangalore-based psychologist, Dr. Ananya Sinha, who's the assistant professor at Christ University. And she says about the chronic stress of fame, this chronic stress may be a risk factor to depression, although not a casual factor, among celebrities, as their lifestyle makes them vulnerable to self-doubt, self-criticality, and sensitivity to criticism. Social support is an antidote for depression, in the absence of which the risk factor increases. Depression is a medical condition, and it can be mild, moderate, or severe. Severe depression is often accompanied by suicidal thoughts, and it's best treated with a combination of, pharmacotherapy, I can't pronounce that word, and psychotherapy. So basically, it's like, yeah, this could be a thing in celebrities that makes you more prone to experiencing depression. And then, usually you need social support, but your social support systems are all fucked up because you're famous.
Okay, I just had a thought. You know how, like, really, really super rich people, like the people who probably actually control shit, like the 0.01%.
Like Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, or like the guy who wanted to hire all the Navy SEALs for when climate change causes the apocalypse, and he was going to force all the Navy SEALs that guarded him to wear dog shock collars so they would obey him. I'm like, okay, is this weird capitalisming like thing? The ultimate form of capitalism is pure isolation, because you are the king of the castle, or, the emperor, like I think of like the Ayn Rand thing where it's like, okay, you're the best person in the world. Well, there can only be fucking one.
So you have no peers. Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
So basically to me, like the end game of capitalism is to be the final one standing.
Right. It's not a social system at all. It's hyper individualistic.
So to me, it's like, well, celebrity is like that ultimate form of capitalism. And by definition, it must be like, it has to be lonely, because it relies on this idea that you are better than other people.
That you won.
And therefore there can only be one. Right. Isn't there like, I feel like there's a tag like, there can only be one.
It's Highlander. It is
Highlander. Oh my gosh. Oh, I was just talking about Highlander today.
I love Highlander.
Because I am part Scottish.
Oh, so it's your people. There's like a magical sword and you can live forever. That's Highlander, right?
But, I was just thinking like, well, of course, like, people have to become isolated when they're a celebrity, because to me, it's like the ultimate form of capitalism. Like, it is the peak. And
it's hyper individual exceptionalism, like, just accelerated.
But to me, it's just like, well, for maybe the capitalist, it's like, well, to me, it's like more grim, where it's like, you are the master and everybody is obedient to you. And that's why there can only be one. You know what I mean? Yeah. But to me, like, celebrity, you don't have you are a representation of capitalism, but you aren't necessarily the benefactor of capitalism, where it's like, yes, you probably have wealth to go along with it. You might not have wealth though. Right? Fame does not necessarily go along with wealth, but let's say you are rich and famous. So basically you are expected to not have real interactions with people anymore. You're expected to pay to have interactions. You have an assistant. You have people who work for you. And everybody else is like basically on your payroll. Even if you're not paying them in money, you are paying them in clout.
No, that's totally true. It is. It's a very isolating experience. And that's something that people point out about this constantly. And that's, it's really not like intrinsic to human nature to have these like super isolated experiences, because people are so naturally social. Like, we need community of some kind, to varying degrees, I think. But yeah, to have no community, that's definitely not like a state of being that humans thrive in.
Yeah, and I think it's like this other really sinister part of society where it's like, some people are just better. Yeah. Some people are just better. And that's what like celebrity is, where it's just like, holy shit.
No, that's totally what it is. And also, one of the things people talk about with celebrities sometimes is they're like, well, it kind of gets you access to this exclusive club of other celebrities because they're the only people who can understand you. But, that's also sometimes exhausting, because usually when you see these other celebrities, it's not like Sia going to the Kardashians' house to hang out and chill. Lots of times it's like these very professional industry related functions that are also draining because the media is there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you probably do though get access to whatever the best hangover drugs are.
Yeah, you get the IV drip. That's true. I also read, I think I'm remembering this correctly. I'm only 60% sure that I'm remembering this correctly. But Gabriel Garcia Marquez, that author.
100 Days of Solitude.
Yes. He, I guess, was good friends with Fidel Castro, I think.
Whoa.
And they were really good friends. And Gabriel Garcia Marquez described it by being like, well, we understand each other because he carries the solitude of power and I carry the solitude of fame. And it's very hard for us to be friends with other people. And then Gabriel Garcia Marquez committed suicide. He took his own life.
Whoa.
Yeah, very depressing.
Well, it's just like, to me, it's like the other toxic thing about celebrity is that, okay, you're only friends with other celebrities. So it's like the fishbowl effect. Like, you're only getting information from other celebrities who
you don't
you're
know
not
what's
getting
going
like
on.
you don't know what's going on the ground.
Yes.
So you become out of touch.
The only exposure you have to people on the ground are hot girls. Hot girls are the only in you've got. So, that's why hot women are so important to the ecosystem. The famous, they need them. They ground them. Dude, that's the emotional labor.
That's the only way
girl.
they know how much a studio apartment costs.
They have a hot girl they meet out, and she's like, "Hey, I'm paying $1,400 a month for this," and they're like, "Okay, got it. Important. It's important. It's important." I'm saying. Yeah. So all this stuff about mental health, like, to me, obviously nothing in your life matters if you don't have your mental health secured first and foremost, which is a biased opinion, obviously, because I lost somebody I love to depression. And it doesn't matter how successful you are, how good you are at managing your money, how put together the rest of your life is. If your mental health isn't there, you won't be able to enjoy any of it. You won't be able to see, the fruits of your successes. You won't be able to feel fulfilled. So, if fame is something that exacerbates issues that people already have with their mental health, or sometimes creates whole new issues because of the complexity of the dynamics, it's something that's very poignant to me, because you're like, at what point are people really thinking this is worth it? And one of the things that some scholars talk about regarding fame is how it's tied to this chronic self-consciousness, which itself is associated with self-destructive behavior. So there's this one study, which is super interesting, and it analyzed song lyrics of famous musicians and found that for people like Kurt Cobain or Cole Porter, their song lyrics shifted to be more self-focused, using more I statements after they entered the public spotlight. And similarly, author John Cheever's short stories began involving more use of the first-person narrative voice after achieving fame. So according to this one study, chronic self-consciousness may lead to a global evaluation of yourself at a more abstract level. And this obviously just means that basically you're viewing yourself through the lens of other people's eyes a lot more. So you're hyper self-conscious, you're hyper aware of yourself as an entity existing in the world, and you're also dissociating from yourself at the same time as a survival instinct. You're like, okay, I've become a product, everybody's viewing me through this way. If I want to survive, I need to separate who I am at my core from the product version of me that people are consuming. So according to these 3 studies that happened from the 1970s through the 1990s, being that hyper self-aware all the time leads to a predominantly negative state of being. It can be a motivational state, like you always feel like you need to do better, or you always feel like you need to be taking in information and trying to figure things out to minimize potential bad consequences. But being constantly in a motivated state like that, it's just bad for people. You're not able to relax, and you're supposed to be able to relax. And because fame usually exaggerates expectations, being motivated all the time in that state to excel when you're famous, well, that means that you're constantly chasing these super unachievable goals that don't make sense for anybody. And this actually makes me think of this one YouTuber who I think that she was saying in 2014 she had like peak fame. And she was talking about it years later, and she's like, I'm always trying to get back to that year. Like, that was the year where everything was good. And it's like she's constantly chasing this thing that's not really realistic, to expect yourself to always have the same momentum and trajectory, especially if you're in like a celebrity type environment. Like YouTube can be pretty celebrity based. And so she's setting herself up to always be her best. And, it's just like the forever growth model, the forever growth expectation. It's not feasible.
I mean, that is the capitalism thing where it's like forever growth, but you run out of resources. You only have so much brain. Also, it's never going to be as good as 2014.
No, it's never going to be as good as 2014. And also there's new use coming out every single year. So nobody can maintain that level of fame or success for that long. That's just not how the system is set up. It's not set up to accommodate long-term career success for most people.
Yeah. And also, it's it's really unfortunate, like, when you get stuck in that, like, if only I could go back and, like, change things. Or I think about, you've seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes.
Where, you know how, like, I think it's his brother or his uncle who just only wants to go back to where he throws the free throw at the high school football game, and he, like, wants to build a time machine that's, like, because he wants to get back there. I think about that a lot, about how, like, absurd it is, but how real it feels at the same time.
Yeah, I have to remind myself of that too, because even just like at our work, last year was like a really wild good year because everybody was getting the unemployment stimulus still. Everything was just like really huge. People had money, people could shop. And I remember while it was happening being like, this is not going to happen next year. This is a special weird year. We have to be ready. Next year will not be like this. So I set up more realistic goals for, you know, this year, 2022, based on what I thought would happen. And my projections were really accurate. Like, we've hit them almost perfectly. So I did a really good job of guessing what was more realistic. But still, you look at your sales figures and you're like, holy shit, we're down 46% from last year. And then you look and you're like, well, yeah, people were getting $4,000 a month in unemployment last year. You knew this would happen. But even that, like, in the system of capitalism, you still can't help but feel a little like, oh, but to go back to when it was good, even when you know it, as it's happening, that it's not sustainable and it's this weird freak incident that can't last forever.
Well, it's set on this weird linear growth model, which doesn't take into account how life actually works.
Right. Life is a series of ups and downs, especially in capitalism, because it's an unplanned free market economy.
Yeah, well, just like, I always think about this American Life episode, I believe it was, where they have this, like, the most sophisticated computer model in the world. And, like, they're like, we are going to take all this data from children and we are just going to predict whether their grades are going to go up or down. Like, something very simple, like how much are their grades going to increase or decrease based on the data. And like, they had all this data, everything. They were like scientists going for it. Guess what their rate of prediction was?
What was that?
0%.
Wow.
Yeah, like people are very bad at predicting stuff. Like,
no, it's totally
and, like,
true.
I mean, I think, like, in the social realm, like, I'm sure you can predict stuff in, like, science, because, like, that's how science works. But people are weird, you know? It's like, life is weird, man.
Yeah, the only thing you can, like, know for certain is that, like, every year will be different and you just have to ride the waves. And, like, nobody is on the upswing 100% of the time. You're just not. It's impossible. But when you're in that celebrity spotlight, there feels like there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to perform. And, you know, like these research studies showed, like, your expectations for performance are so unrealistically high that you're always going to feel like you're not meeting them. You're going to have your peak year of success, and then every year after that, you're going to be like, well, I'm not meeting it. So I feel like a failure. So then it's just going to enhance whatever, like, feelings of inadequacy you already had. And there was this one 2014 study that showed that the stress, isolation, and bullying that comes with living life in the public eye can decrease your lifespan by 25 years.
Wow.
Yes, and that's not even if you take into account that fucked up thing called, like, the 27 Club, right? Which is all the celebrities who died at age 27.
Jimi Hendrix.
Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, maybe Amy Winehouse.
I was going to say Amy Winehouse.
Yes. You know, rock and pop stars are more than twice as likely as the rest of the population to die an early death. And within just a few years of people becoming famous.
Wow.
So it really is this really dangerous thing. Now, obviously, the 27 Club, a lot of those people struggled with substance abuse issues. And that's also something that interacts with fame. There's a pretty strong correlation between substance use and fame. And there's evidence that in order to escape that state of constant self-consciousness that you're in, people are more likely to turn to drug and alcohol use as a form of escapism, and that creates these major issues. So there were 3 studies that were conducted in 1983, 2 of them then, and 1 in 1986, and they looked into this and they found positive correlations between fame and substance use increasing, and anecdotal information from celebrities just seems to confirm these assessments too, like Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter guy, the one I was thinking you were thinking of that wasn't who you were thinking of. He discussed using alcohol to cope with the stress of being famous when he was a teenager. He said, the quickest way to forget about the fact that you're being watched is to get very drunk. Then as you get very drunk, you become aware, like, oh, people are watching more now because I'm getting very drunk. So I should probably drink more to ignore that more. Yeah, and there's data supporting a correlation between celebrity and substance abuse on the drug front too. Like one 1984 study found that children of eminent people are at an increased risk of drug abuse.
Huh.
So it's not just alcohol, it's drug use too. And we have countless examples of celebrity drug use being out of control. One is something we talked about on one of our bonus episodes, Kenna, on our Patreon about the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
What's his face? Tony Stark?
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah,
Yes.
he went to jail in like the 90s. I remember
Yes.
seeing this trial on E! News when
Wow.
we first got cable.
Also, a Jodie Foster tie-in. He was starring in a movie that Jodie Foster was directing, and she saw him doing massive amounts of cocaine, and she was really, really concerned about him, and she begged him to get help, and apparently he was like, no, I'm fine. Then he spiraled out of control. He passed out in his neighbor's house. Like, a neighbor came home one day, and Robert Downey Jr. was just asleep in their bedroom, like, heavily drugged, and the neighbor was like, what the fuck? So then he ended up spending some time in a state prison. He went to rehab for over a year. Then he came out. He was spiraling. Then he tried to do a comeback on the Ally McBeal show, and then he was arrested, and then he spiraled again, and it was like this multiple years long kind of struggle with drug use. There was also Lindsay Lohan, obviously, who in the mid-aughts was arrested for drunk driving and possession of cocaine, went to rehab a few times, missed her alcohol education classes, kind of faded from the spotlight until 2018 when she was publicly accused of trying to steal refugee children from their parents.
Whoa.
Yeah. Then in 2007, David Hasselhoff kind of like went viral, I guess, because he was filmed by his daughter at his request when he fell off the wagon. So he would tell her, you know, if I drink, you should film me. It was his way of trying to be accountable because he knew that the media attention from the videos would keep him on the straight and narrow path, right? Which is smart, but also like really tragic in his own way.
Yeah. Oof. I feel like there's so many stories. I think of Jerry Garcia.
Oh, yeah?
Because, you know, my boyfriend is like a deadhead, and he was just like, yeah, towards the end of his life, literally all he did all day long was play, I think, Doom on the computer.
Oh, yeah. I liked
and
that
just
game.
like do so much drugs. Like, I'm like, just do, because he's just like, I can't go outside because I'm too famous. Like, I literally can't go outside. Like, all I can do inside is like do drugs and play like computer games.
Yeah, it's interesting because you think about, obviously, the unequal distribution of wealth, but then when you think about it, you're like, your whole world has to fit in your house. You have to build a whole life in your house. And that complicates, like, the notion of, like, from each according to their ability to each according to their need, because you're like, well, how much do you need if you can't go outside ever without being harassed?
Yeah, and I get, sometimes, like, I do understand that it's, like, it's harder to be empathetic of people when, like, sometimes they tell you their problems and they're like, I saw this TikTok where someone was like, their friend is like, yeah, my husband just surprised me with another vacation. Like, sometimes
You're like, fuck you.
Fuck you, I would die for a vacation right now. But, like, to a certain extent, like, yeah, like, but to another extent, you're just like, just because someone has, like, is, to me, like, basically a victim of a system of fame.
Yeah, it's interesting because the thing that I look at is I'm like, oh, nobody's winning. I thought you guys were winning because you're all rich. But I'm like, damn, your shit's kind of fucked up too.
Maybe there's one guy who's like, yeah, I fucking love this shit.
Yeah, maybe the Pussy Posse. Maybe they loved it.
Yeah, they probably love it, man.
They probably loved it in the 90s.
To me, it's just like, it's like, it's a symptom of a larger issue.
Yes,
where it's just like, we should not concentrate so much energy on a few particular people. It's like not healthy for anybody.
Yeah, it's not healthy for us on the consuming end. It's not healthy for them.
I mean, I'm not a sociologist or whatever. To me, it's like a symptom of a bigger problem, which to me is the inherent isolation of capitalism.
And the American exceptionalism thing.
And the idea of, like, some people are just better.
Right. So there's this other person who I, for some reason, always related to, and I didn't understand why. And this is, like, a really tragic one. It's Anne Heche.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I remembered a lot about Anne Heche from my childhood, and I just today realized why. When I was 13 years old, Anne Heche just appeared in someone's front lawn in Fresno, California, in my hometown. She was high on drugs. She was rambling nonsense, and it was huge news locally. That's why I paid so much attention to Anne Heche. It was all over our news. Fresno police officer came, and she told the Fresno police officer that she was God, and she was going to take everyone back to heaven with her in a spaceship.
Okay.
Yes, and everyone was like, okay, Anne Heche, you were on a lot of drugs. And she always struggled with substance use issues. And yeah, on August 5th of this year, she was driving her car in Los Angeles under the influence of cocaine and narcotics, including fentanyl. And she crashed into a house here in Los Angeles and died. And fortunately, the woman who lived in the house, she survived, and her pets all survived. And but her house was fucked up. She couldn't live in it. It was a huge issue.
Well, I'm sure it can get fixed.
Yeah, it was gnarly though, and Anne Heche was just always this kind of like tragic case, and I realized I related to her because Fresno, nothing happens in Fresno other than Fresno shit, and I was like, oh wow, this like rich famous lady is here talking about spaceships and being God,
Wow.
But I was young enough when it happened. I was 13. I didn't realize like that she was I don't know, it was on the news, but I didn't realize it was on the news because it was happening there.
Is she Fresnan?
No, she was from Los Angeles. She drove high on drugs.
To Fresno?
To Fresno, yes.
That's how cool Fresno is.
That's how sick. Yeah, if you're on drugs and you're like, what do I need to do? I'm God. I have a spaceship. Where am I going? The answer is Fresno, California.
Cool.
Yes. And of course, we've seen many celebrities, though, die prematurely from drug overdoses or other substance-related deaths. So I have a brief list just of people in my lifetime who I was like, oh, wow, that person died. That's really sad. So DMX, just last year from cocaine. Mm-hmm. Juice WRLD, 2019, oxycodone and codeine overdose. Mac Miller, obviously, 2018, from fentanyl, cocaine, and ethanol. Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries in 2018 from an alcohol-induced drowning in a bathtub. Lil Peep in 2017 from fentanyl and Xanax. Tom Petty in 2017 from oxycodone and fentanyl, amongst many other drugs. Prince in 2016 from fentanyl. Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots in 2015 from cocaine, ethanol, and MDA. Peaches Geldof in 2014 from heroin. Philip Seymour Hoffman in 2014 from heroin, cocaine, benzos, and amphetamines. Wayne Static from Static X in 2013 from a mix of several drugs and alcohol. Whitney Houston in 2012 from a cocaine-related drowning. Thomas Kincaid, the painter, in 2012 from diazepam and ethanol. Ryan Dunn from Jackass in 2011 from drunk driving. Amy Winehouse, also in 2011 from alcohol. Heath Ledger in 2008 from a mix of several drugs. Anna Nicole Smith in 2007 from a mix of several drugs as well. Mitch Hedberg, beloved comedian, 2005 from cocaine and heroin. ODB in 2004 from cocaine and tramadol. Kevin Aucoin, the famous makeup artist, in 2002 from painkillers. Chris Farley in 1997 from cocaine and morphine. River Phoenix, famously, in 1993 from cocaine and heroin. Johnny Thunders in 1991 from methadone and cocaine. I didn't remember that one.
Wow.
Abby Hoffman, who's the famous activist, in 1989 from phenobarbital. And Basquiat, 1988 from heroin. And those were just a few from my lifetime.
Yeah, it's like, it seems that that's like I would dare say anecdotally that that's higher among people who are considered famous.
That's
like
what
drug overdoses.
I would guess as well. We can't say for certain if drug use for these celebrities was directly linked to their fame. I've obviously known people who've had substance-related deaths in my personal life who were not at all famous. However, given the correlations between fame and heightened self-consciousness, and then the correlations between heightened self-consciousness and substance use, we can see it's not off base to make that assumption that famous people are more likely to engage in drug use because they're more likely to experience that heightened state of self-consciousness, and people who are in that state are just more likely to use substances.
And I imagine when you're a celebrity, people are giving you drugs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And you can afford drugs more.
That's another thing. You have access. A lot of the things that stopped people I know in my life from going overboard drugs is they literally cannot afford it. But when you have money, you have access, you can get drugs. And, other people are also eager to be in your social circle. And if they know that supplying you drugs is a way to get in your social circle, they'll do that. Like, when Lil Peep died on his bus, it was a fan who was happy to be able to get on the bus because she had drugs. And she was like, yeah, I'll give you drugs, and that's like, it's just this really, it's just very available because of that. So yeah, all of this, it's the question. It's like, why is this even worth it for anybody? What are we doing here? And the most obvious answer is obviously money. Bruce Springsteen, for example, has a net worth of $435 million.
Whoa.
He almost has $500 million.
Nebraska, amazing album. Just going to say that.
Oh my God. I don't think I know a single Bruce Springsteen song.
Oh, he for sure rips off Suicide.
Oh, really?
The band.
Yeah.
It's like a State Trooper, that song.
I don't know.
Like, is definitely like Ghost Rider.
Oh, see, I've never heard a Bruce Springsteen song.
Oh my God.
Ever. I don't know
You have to listen to the album. It's a bummer of an album, but it's goth.
I could try goth Springsteen.
I mean, I also like Born in the USA, which I think is funny that Reagan thought that it was a pro-America song, but Bruce Springsteen is like, no, this is a fuck America song.
Weird, considering he is very wealthy and America worked for him.
I know, it is ironic.
Yes. Also, there's Jay-Z, whose net worth is $340 million. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, his net worth is $270 million.
Wow.
Kanye West, $235 million. The guys who made South Park, $210 million.
Whoa. I believe that they just bought Casa Bonita in Denver.
Right. Paul Simon, $200 million. Tyler Perry, $165 million. Bob Dylan, $130 million. Reese Witherspoon, $115 million.
Oh, her production, I was reading
Her production company just sold.
Well, okay, she has this book club, and she's like, I'll buy like 1 million copies of your book if you give me the rights to make yours. And so she has this thing where she's making just so much money because she has a book club that she funnels into her production company. It's like from a business standpoint, you're like, whoa, that's actually really fucking smart.
Wow. Yeah, there's also Howard Stern. His net worth is $85 million, king of media. And Neil Young, $80 million.
Whoa.
Blake Shelton, Mr. Gwen Stefani is how I think of him. He has a net worth of $55 million.
Oh!
Yes, I
These
know.
People have
they have so much money.
It's
Taylor
funny
Swift,
which ones have like the most money.
right? I would think Taylor Swift would have more money than all of these people. She's only, I say only big air quotes, $52 million. And this is all according to Forbes. So this has actually been fact-checked. It's not like there's random websites that claim to know someone's net worth. Like the one time I had $16 to my name and I Googled my net worth and the internet said I had $15 million. And I was like, give me this. Who do I get my check from?
I honestly thought Kanye would have more.
Yeah.
But, it seems like it might be, because remember when he was like really like millions in debt and then he like got $1 billion? I feel like his goes up and down.
Yes. But, basically the point of all of this is that being famous, you can make a lot of money. Not every famous person has a lot of money, but we know life is easier with money and you can make a fuck ton of money. But as somebody who like really hates money, like I don't even think money should exist, I have to wonder at what point does the extra money like stop fucking mattering, right? Like, okay, Bruce Springsteen's net worth is $435 million. If we imagine that was all invested and he took a 5% annual draw from it to live off of, that would give him an annual salary of $21.75 million per year or $1.8 million per month without even depleting his principal balance. So he would just have the same amount of money and then be living off of $1.8 million per month forever.
You know how I learned about this concept? That stupid show, Kimmy Schmidt?
Yes.
Where the lady she was working for was like, I'm getting a divorce. And Kimmy Schmidt was like, actually, with your divorce settlement, if you invest it, you don't have to work based off the principal balance. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, that's how this worked? This stupid show. Explain that to me.
That's cool, though, because I had to learn about that in really weird ways. And then I had to make a bunch of spreadsheets and confuse myself to figure it out. But, like, what this kind of led me to thinking is, like, what can Bruce Springsteen do with $1.8 million per month as an average person that Taylor Swift cannot with a similarly calculated monthly income of $216,000 per month, which is already an astronomically just ridiculous amount of money. Taylor Swift can spend over $7,000 every single day without losing any money. Bruce Springsteen can spend $60,000 per day.
Yeah. Oh, I just remembered Taylor Swift's jet.
Yeah, and then the private jet things, but that's probably from the business. That's probably not even her net worth. Well, that's probably calculated as a business expense.
Yeah, well,
that's
she said that
her money.
The reason why it was so high is because she either rents it or lends it out. But it's so funny. We're talking about celebrity, and I'm like, I still think she should have been like, yeah, I should decrease that.
It's PR. It's all PR, baby.
I know. I'm like, at least just be like, yeah, that's a lot of miles.
Yeah. But the thing is, who needs $60,000 a day? Like, is the experience of being famous, based on everything we've heard about how difficult it is that worth $60,000 a day? Are you realistically going to spend $60,000 a day? Like, every single day? We know that money can buy happiness, right? But only up to a certain point. Like, we know if you're poor and you struggle to pay your bills, if you are able to somehow live comfortably and be middle class and pay your bills with ease, we know that correlates to an increase in your overall quality of life and happiness. But studies show that money only is an indicator of emotional well-being, like up to a certain point. It was $75,000 when this study was made, but that was in 2010. So that figure now would be more like $102,000 per year. But after $102,000 a year, the more money you have beyond that isn't making significant changes to your quality of life at all. So why do you need $60,000 a day in a world where only up to $102,000 a year is actually going to bring you joy? What is the point of that at all? You know, like Jennifer Lopez actually talked about this. You know, she's Jenny from the block. So she is a real one. And she said, you can have all the money in the world and it doesn't mean you're a happy person. Money doesn't solve problems. It makes some things easier, but it just gives you a different set of problems. Everything has a trade-off in this world. And I've learned that from being broke as hell and from having money. So one of the most shocking things I read about fame is also ties in with this money thing in an interesting way. It's how a lot of the things that I perceive as luxury, like, oh, you have a big fancy mansion in an exclusive part of town, it's actually more like a prison, like the Jerry Garcia thing. You know, here in Los Angeles, most celebrities live in Calabasas, in private gated communities, like Hidden Hills.
Now that I think, I take that back. I would never want to live in Calabasas. It feels so isolated. Like, it feels like this. Okay, I'm from a rural area, so like suburbs are very foreign to me. And I'm just like, that just seems like you're stuck
in the middle of nowhere in a gated community. And at work, sometimes we talk about this, how awful it would be. Like, who the fuck would want to live in Hidden Hills? It's in the middle of nowhere, it's ugly, and you're just literally trapped in rich person suburbia. That's why the gated community exists, to trap you with other rich people in a quote-unquote safe place.
Yeah, I feel like people really... some people really want privacy, you know? Some people, like... I can see myself maybe one day wanting to be, like, super private, rural, live in a cabin. But also, like, I think a lot of people just want to be able to have, like, chill, like, people around, you know?
Yes. So George Clooney weirdly explained this in a way that made a lot of sense to me. I'm learning so much about celebrities. I never paid attention to them. And now I'm like, oh, wow. So he said, the big house on a hill is isolating. There's no other way to say it. There are restrictions to this kind of fame. I haven't walked in Central Park for 15 years. I'd like to, you know?
Aw.
And
maybe
I was like, wow.
He could put on, like, a mustache.
Maybe.
You could get a disguise.
Yeah, George Clooney needs a disguise. But I realized, like, these people aren't living in Hidden Hills and Calabasas and these gated communities because they love it there. And they're like, this is the best fucking place I could live. They're living there because they cannot logistically live a private life in places surrounded by other people. They have to be removed from other people if they want any ounce of privacy, whether they want to or not. You know? And this whole time, I just really thought these people had trash-ass taste, and that's why they wanted to live in Calabasas. I was like, these rich people have really bad taste. Why do they want to fucking be there? And it's easy not to care about this, right? Because who fucking cares about rich people, really, you know? But I think it's important to note that a lot of these people... the money is not ending up being worth it to them in the end. It's just wasted wealth hoarding. So they've got all this money, right, that they're not using, because how could you fucking use that much money? They're miserable. The money that other people could be using to improve their quality of life, they don't even have access to. The rich people feel like they're stuck hoarding this money, though, because they're like, well, I have to be able to afford privacy or I'll literally die, you know, I'll get, like, stalked and killed or something. And it's just this whole fucking weird nightmare. And usually the rich people, the rich celebrities, they're like, well, I'm really grateful that I have financial success and financial stability, but they're still really unhappy. Which to me just goes to show that having huge, wildly fluctuating wealth disparities in society in general is, not beneficial for anyone. Even the people on the receiving end of it.
That's the thing. Like, even people who are, like, super, like, rah, 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 capitalism, it's like, does it really, if you're like, I'm in it, even if you're purely like, I'm a selfish person, I'm in it for myself, the actually better thing for you to do is for everybody to be happy, and it will actually make you happier.
Right, yeah. It seems like in our current system of fame, there's like this trade-off. Like, this is the price you pay for being like a public person who's not allowed any interior private life. Or, like, this is the price society pays you for that, rather. And that's kind of sad. And it's not sad just from that, like, poor little rich kid kind of perspective, but it's actually sad from the perspective where we acknowledge that human beings are social creatures. We need enough money, obviously, to live good, comfortable lives if we exist in a system of capitalism, for sure. But we also need each other more than we need the extra $1.7 million per year on top of that someone like, you know, I don't even know who else has. Bruce Springsteen or... who was it? Taylor Swift or whatever has on top of the 100,000 it takes you to live a good life. like that whole extra money that's not actually purchasing any additional happiness for you, you would probably realistically be happier with social ties to your community and the ability to go walk in the park and get a cup of coffee than you would with having all that extra money every single year that's not really benefiting you.
Yeah, that reminds me of when Dave Chappelle like just stopped doing comedy and moved to like a little town in Ohio and just like hung out in a little town in Ohio, turned down what, like a $500 million deal.
Yeah, there's
not that I like Dave Chappelle
no,
or anything.
Dave Chappelle's a fucking weirdo.
But I like when that happened, that was a big deal because he
really
was for a second he was so fucking famous.
Yeah, and I remember he had like the breakdown. He stopped even telling jokes, and he was just like up on stage having a meltdown, and people were still laughing, and he was like, "You fucking people will laugh at anything," you know. But yeah, obviously Dave Chappelle, not a good guy. But basically this like false construction of celebrity has just taken a few people, ripped them away from their community completely while reinforcing that capitalist American exceptionalism myth that you too could be fabulously rich and powerful and happy beyond your wildest dreams if only you worked a bit harder. And I think it's really interesting that the myth persists. Like, we need to pay celebrities these astronomical amounts of money, not because it actually brings them more happiness, but because it's part of the American dream myth. They need to be rich so we, like the poors or whatever, can see the carrot dangling from the stick in front of us. Their wealth isn't even actually for them to enjoy. It's more to motivate us to keep our heads down and work a little harder for our capitalist overlords, because if we do enough, maybe one day we too can be super successful like them. Because we're not shown that, like, this isn't even a desirable thing to be aiming for. Like, the idea that just a few people could be ridiculously rich to the point where they have money they can never spend while everyone else suffers, like, the whole premise is flawed, but we don't see that because very, very seldom are we shown the reality that just having a fuck ton of money will only solve some of your problems, and that's your problems of survival. Beyond that ultimate fulfillment in society, you're not going to get it from winning capitalism. You're not going to be fulfilled fully by winning capitalism. Capitalism is a system that's failing every single person. And in the end, even being famous, again, no guarantee of wealth. Toni Braxton filed for bankruptcy in 1998. Marvin Gaye filed for bankruptcy in 1976. 50 Cent in 2015. Mike Tyson, 2003. Sinbad, 2013. Larry King, 1978. Willie Nelson, 1990. Wayne Newton, 1992. Kim Basinger, 1992. Burt Reynolds, 1996. Elton John, 2002. Like, there's just so many examples of people who became very, very famous and at one point had money, and they weren't able to turn it into something that sustained them long term. They weren't able to get that financial safety net out of it that seems like the promise of wealth. So in the end, it's like, you can be subjected to all this. You can lose your right to privacy. You can lose your right to like have positive social ties in your life. You can lose your emotional and psychological stability and well-being, and you can still come out totally broke. The system can chew you up and spit you out just like it chews up and spits out anybody else. The only difference is maybe for 2 years you had a gold toilet, which is a total fucking waste of money and would have been better used towards paying somebody's rent in the end.
Although gold toilet, cool, if you're Liberace.
So, okay, with all of this, obviously though, like, we like celebrities as a culture.
Yeah.
We do. We love them. And that psychologist we talked about at the beginning of the episode, Rockwell, she is super interesting to me because she writes about the public's role in the destruction of people's interior psyche as they move through these levels of fame. And I really think that's something that people don't consider. So she says, you know, are we somehow complicit in the downward spiral of so many great talents of our time? Have their lives become an opportunity for our own vapid TV viewing, satiating voyeuristic interests while munching junk food mindlessly on the couch? And for the record, this is not a burn to everyone but her. She's not like, I'm so enlightened. She's like, I do this shit too. You know, I consume media this way too. Like, at what point, you know, do we acknowledge that as consumers, we play a role in this? Like, are we the fans in the stadium watching a modern day blood sport where we cheer as someone below us gets ripped into pieces by the stampeding bowl of fame?
Yeah.
And I think the Britney Spears situation really hammered that home for a lot of us. Like, people really took glee in her downfall in 2007 when she had a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first time there was a public conversation in my lifetime anyway about like, whoa, what are we as an audience doing where our source of entertainment isn't from celebrating the success of these celebrities like FKA Twigs mentioned. It's on waiting for their downfall. We want to see a tragedy. We want to see a drama. We don't want to see somebody just being good at something or being talented. That's not interesting to us. And I think that the thing that ties in with this is when the celebrities get so much wealth, that's when it's easy for us to see them as villains and root for their downfall. Because we're like, well, fuck these rich people. I don't care, you know? But it's just like this really toxic, bad, fucked up system that's bad for everybody. So like an example of this in my own life is that for a while I lived in Laurel Canyon here in Los Angeles. And it's a nice neighborhood. I had a boyfriend who'd bought a house there many, many years before. So he managed to get it pretty affordably. But at the time we lived there, the cheapest house in the neighborhood probably at that time was selling for $2 million. So it was a nice neighborhood. So also around that time, Justin Bieber bought a fancy sports car. And Justin Bieber started doing drag racing like through the neighborhood in the middle of the night where we lived.
Whoa.
And it was super, super annoying, right? And I would make fun of him to all my friends because it felt like punching up. I was like, oh, wow, this rich asshole douchebag kid just learned how to drive. Like, he drives this loud-ass car in the middle of the night. He wakes everybody up. Like, does he really need more attention? Like, how much attention does this stupid kid need? But then now, if I listen to him talk about his experience at that same period in his life, I'm like, I wonder if I really was punching up. I mean, financially, obviously, he was extremely rich. From a class perspective, it's infuriating how rich these people are, right? But celebrity success is more than just money. So how much of celebrity success is actually a win for those celebrities at all, right? I mean, dude was struggling at this time. When you, like, listen back to what he was going through, he said it himself. Like, here's this quote he said. I'm struggling just to get through the day. You get lonely, you know? People see the glam, they see the amazing stuff, but they don't see the other side. This life can rip you apart. I watched the Amy Winehouse documentary on the plane and I had tears in my eyes because I could see what the media was doing to her, how they were treating her. People thought it was funny to poke her when she was at rock bottom, to keep pushing her down until she had no more of herself. And that's what they were trying to do to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like, it's easy to hate the rich people, but like, maybe my anger is better directed at the system that created them. Like, maybe these rich people are thrown into this thinking life's all going to be amazing and they're going to have this amazing time and have all this money and have this great life. And then when they're in it, they're like, oh, fuck, this is awful. But now I'm on a machine that can't stop moving.
You know, it's funny to me. This is just a thought where it's just like, I think that part of maybe the purpose of celebrity, if there is, you know, it's just is one, it's like, you can just be like, oh yeah, well, you can say anything about them because, like, you know, regardless of their, like, because they have money. And I'm just like, well, to me, it's just like, basically the purpose of capitalism is be like, you have money. The money is responsible for your well-being. You have all the money in the world. So now it's your responsibility to use all the money in the world that you have to make your life perfect. And if you can't do that, fuck you.
Right.
Like, money, like, it, in this weird way, it's like reinforcing the notion that money can solve all your problems. And if you're a rich celebrity who can't use all their money to solve their fucking problems, double fuck you.
Right. And it is, like, again, nothing takes away from the infuriating class perspective of it.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Like, everybody is justified in recognizing, like, the huge financial imbalance and, like, this is fucked up and, like, why do these people have all this money to fly on their stupid fucking private jets when the planet's dying and buy second, third, fourth, fifth houses when other people have no house at all
that's
or sleeping
fucked.
on the street? It's fucked up. But again, you look at it and you're like, well, these people also aren't happy. And in some ways, they are victims of this same system. And very few of them knew that this is what they were signing up for. And then you get to this point where you're like just stuck in it. And it kind of feels like, are we essentially paying people massive amounts of money to self-destruct in front of us for our entertainment? And I think about this too with football. It's like you make a lot of money playing football. It's fucked up. You also get brain damage from playing it and could potentially die or be scarred for life. And you can't work ever again unless you get brand deals or happen to be very good at appearing on television. So you look at it and you're like, this is fucked up on the whole. Like, it's a blood sport at a certain point.
Yeah.
So at what point do these people stop being part of the privileged capitalist oppressing class and start being also just exploited byproducts of the same shit show capitalist system as the rest of us, only with really fucking nice houses, which I do think we're allowed to be mad at the really fucking nice houses and the private jets and shit. But in some ways, the celebrity is exploited by the system of capitalism in unique and also kind of terrifying ways. Like sensationalism or obsession in the press can ruin people's careers or drive people to have full mental breakdowns, like we saw with Britney Spears in 2007, or like Justin Bieber was talking about with Amy Winehouse. Like, this shit kills people just because they were talented enough that somebody, and this is the weird thing too, somebody pulling the strings who's even richer and more sinister because they managed to stay out of the spotlight is able to pluck them from obscurity and use them as a pawn to advance their own wealth.
Yeah.
You know, all of the record label people, all of the managers. These are the people really profiting off of these celebrities in the limelight. And when you think about it that way, you're like, that's the real fucked up person I should be mad about. And I don't even know their name. I don't know what their house looks like. I don't know how rich they are, because they've managed to position themselves in a way where they get all the benefits of celebrity. They're profiting off the celebrity without any of the downfall. You know, and it leads to people literally dying. Like, even if you think about Princess Diana, right, getting chased by the paparazzi, dying, or in situations where extreme media coverage makes celebrities the targets of stalking, right, which can harm or even kill them, like Selena or John Lennon killed by stalkers, which John Lennon, you know, whatever, but Selena, like, a beloved person. Margot Robbie said that she gets so many death threats from stalkers now that she feels like she can never stop being an actress, because every time she gets a death threat in the mail, it's a minimum of $2,000 for enhanced security and background checks on the person who sent it. And she gets so many, she's like, I just have to keep working high budget movies for the rest of my life, literally just to offset the cost of investigating the people who are stalking me and sending me death threats all the time.
Whoa.
And I was like, dude, that's not even something I thought about. And it's not just paparazzi tabloids that participate in this. It's also the mainstream media. There's this increasing financial incentive to make journalism as extreme and clickbaity as possible. And media outlets exploit the public's fascination with famous people. And they're usually looking for newsworthy stories where there should be none. Like that time Cara Delevingne bought a sex swing with her girlfriend. And remember, that was like front page news for everybody. And you're like, this isn't news. I don't care that she bought a sex swing.
I don't care. Okay.
Yeah, or taking small things and blowing them out of proportion for views online, like Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly's weird but largely harmless, I think, romantic relationship. And I'm like, why do I know this?
I am weed.
Right, but like, this isn't a story. These are just two mildly annoying people at a party that I don't need to know this about them.
It is. I don't know. It is funny.
It's funny.
Like, if a friend told you that, you'd be like, that's the I am weed boyfriend.
Yes, but also, like, why do I need to read about this on the news? You know, especially, like...
Yeah, I don't need to know, but it is funny.
It is funny. But, you know, especially, like, when you have this kind of battle going on between the paparazzi tabloid kind of trash, and then you have the mainstream media also, and what they end up doing, according to one paper, is, you know, competition between the two media types, mainstream media and entertainment-specific media, may result in more efforts to investigate and cover the latest, boldest, most intimate information relating to celebrities. So we end up with this, like, you know, inundation of these really personal details about these people's lives that it's just like, I don't really care, but I'll read it because it's mildly entertaining, and it can happen at, like, great detriment to these people. So one study on community stress levels in Hong Kong following the 2004 tsunami showed that anytime anybody has constant media attention, it's going to be difficult for people to stomach or handle. And that was obviously in the wake of, like, a great tragedy. So that was the unique thing. But people who study celebrity and fame and the effects on people have kind of drawn parallels. And they're like, look, imagine every single day, your whole life, you never get a break from the news. The news is always about you. Like, it's constant. You can't escape it. It's not something that people are built to handle. But we can't stop paying attention to them. And that might be because we're consuming them not as, like, actual people, like, we're not humanizing them. We're consuming them as products or brands that we identify ourselves by, either in, like, relation to, like, I relate to this person, or in opposition to. Like, our identities become reflections of the celebrities that we see presented to us in the stories we hear. So in 1995, Mary Loftus described this kind of celebrity phenomenon as a living Rorschach test. And she was like, look, these people aren't appreciated for who they are and what their talents are. They are appreciated for who the public decides they are and who the public positions themselves as being in relation to them. So our identities just in general are built by brand allegiances or ideological allegiances. And when we view celebrities as products that we consume, we dehumanize them and we relate to them like we might any other commodified entity. We don't like this flavor of ice cream. We hate that celebrity. It's kind of the same space it occupies in our brain. We experience these thoughts in the same breath. However, we fail to realize that with a celebrity, that's actually a human being. So we've dehumanized them to make our consumption of them more convenient and less complex, while also absolving us of guilt for what we say about them or think about them or the impact that has in their lives. Another component of this is that, like, celebrities are often viewed as social group leaders, which goes back to this, like, intrinsically collaborative and cooperative nature of human interaction. There's this evolutionary psychologist named Daniel Kruger who says primates always keep eyes on dominant individuals, and there's a few reasons. So he says, one is just learning what high status individuals do, so you might more effectively become one. And two, it's basically political. Knowing what's going on with high status individuals, you'd be better able to navigate the social scene. But this assumes that celebrities are actually high status individuals and not just like people who randomly got lucky or were plucked from obscurity or were born into this status or whatever. And like a lot of times you look at these people and you're like, I actually have nothing I can learn from these people. It's not like if I watch Beyonce enough, I'm going to become Beyonce.
Yeah, I mean, maybe people, I mean, I feel like just because like a lot of our culture now, like it runs on media, like the media money. So it's like having that idea, like can definitely like feed like clicks, views, like, you know.
It's a byproduct of the American dream. We're being sold something, but it's not actually something that we can achieve. And people have natural fascinations, right? But we also can develop these parasocial relationships, which are egged on by advancing technologies like social media. So experts say most of us exist somewhere on a spectrum of celebrity fascination. There are some people who maybe are more shy by nature, and they might be more invested in celebrity culture and get more involved in these parasocial celebrity relationships as a form of psychological prosthesis, because they're like not able to have those relationships or connections as easily in real life. But basically there's like this kind of scale. It's like a spectrum that we all fall on somewhere, but not just in general, like with every single individual celebrity. Yeah. So Stuart Fishoff, a professor of media psychology at UCLA, says if they weren't going to be interacting with people otherwise, this makes them at least have a social relationship they didn't have before. So it's making the best out of a bad deal psychologically, talking about shy people who maybe have a tendency to feel more comfortable in parasocial dynamics with celebrities they don't know. Interestingly enough, though, most people do not fit clearly on that spectrum, ranging from casual interest in a celebrity to like full-on stalking obsession. Instead, experts suggest that it seems more like there's a potential stalker in every single one of us if only the right celebrity presents themselves.
That's like the podcasts are like anyone could be a murderer if the right situation presented itself. That terrified me.
Yeah, well, celebrity interest always starts out as benign, even for people who are shy and maybe find more comfort in parasocial dynamics. But parasocial attachment can grow because of things like celebrity gossip, which offers escapism, and also a way to bond with other people in your real life. You're like, oh, we're talking about Megan Fox. We're talking about Kanye West. The shift, though, occurs when a celebrity pops up on someone's mind more and more frequently. And then sometimes you get these like addictive and compulsive behaviors relating to the celebrity that kick in. Like, I'm just going to check their Twitter. Or like, oh, I can't stop thinking about this thing, you know? And that's when it really starts to take off. So some researchers have identified 3 levels of celebrity worship, is what they call it. There's that low level, which is considered the entertainment social dimension, which reflects healthy motivation, reading, listening, or viewing the works of an admired celebrity, maybe seeking information about their career and sharing with enthusiasm things you learned about them to friends or family members. And this dimension is kind of linked to people who are more extroverted. Then there's like the second level, which is a little more intense. That's called the intense personal dimension, which is a moderate level of celebrity worship and represents compulsive feelings towards a celebrity, like losing control over your recurring thoughts of them. Like they just keep popping up in your mind. You can't stop obsessing. This dimension has been associated with neuroticism, symptoms of depression and anxiety, maybe having poor quality relationships in your life, and concerns about your own body image. Like maybe you can't stop thinking about another celebrity because of how it relates to your ideas of yourself and how you look. And then last, there's the third dimension, which is called borderline pathological dimension, and that's what reflects extreme attitudes and behaviors towards celebrities, which is considered a maladaptive form of admiration. This dimension is actually linked to narcissism, like psychotic behavior and addiction, which is interesting. So the thing that's most interesting, though, is like we know about celebrities all day long, right? Like, there can be a celebrity that doesn't even pop up on your radar. There can be a celebrity where you're like, oh, this person's interesting. I know these things about them. But, again, there could be a celebrity at any point in time where we just kind of get hooked on them. We get addicted to them. And sometimes, like, you know, we start thinking, like, maybe this person would really get along with me. Or maybe we have a lot in common. And just because you haven't experienced it yet in your life doesn't mean that you never will.
I highly doubt that I'm pretty iconoclastic, I think. I'm just like, at the most, would be like, I think I'd have a beer with that person.
Yeah, but you don't know.
I don't. Oh my God.
You don't know. That's the thing. Like, I don't care about celebrities at all, but maybe it's just because I don't know about the right celebrity that would appeal to me in that way.
I'm like, is there a celebrity that appeals to... I think the most would be funny to have a beer with, and I think the person at that, I think it would be funny to have a beer with Robert Pattinson.
Oh yeah, I think that he's funny. I think that's the low level thing where we're like, haha, this is interesting. This thing he said.
Just from seeing interviews, like it would be fun to have a beer with.
Okay, I will say though, in the early 2000s, my friend group knew Shannon Sossaman. And I was like, Shannon Sossaman is the coolest person ever. And my friends were like, you cannot hang out with Shannon Sossaman and us because you will freak her out. And I was like, I'm cool, man. And they were like, you are not cool about Shannon Sossaman. And keep in mind, I was around celebrities all the time. I did not care. I was a young person in Los Angeles. I went to the Hollywood Hills parties at their houses. But Shannon Sossaman, for some reason, my friends were like, no, you're just going to be fucking weird about this. We can tell. And they would not let me meet her. So, who knows? Maybe Shannon Sossaman was my one person where I could have got really compulsive and weird about it if I'd been given the opportunity.
Okay, when I was like 12, maybe Hugh Grant. But I was 12.
You know, we all have something.
Now, I watched Lair of the White Worm this morning with Hugh Grant, and I was like, dang, Hugh Grant was hot.
He was hot. It's interesting you say the thing about being 12, though, because experts do acknowledge that younger people are more susceptible to celebrity obsession because they're still establishing their own identities, and lots of times those identities are reflections of celebrities' identities and positioning in society.
Yeah, I think he was just like, I just thought he was really hot in the mugshot picture.
Oh yeah, he was hot. He was super hot.
Oof.
So, okay, speaking about like the childhood thing, this is a good transition into like the effects of like the media lens on children who enter it. You know, like I feel like people talk about this a lot lately. They're talking about like family bloggers and like what it does to your kids to be put online all the time.
Oh,
this is a conversation that's taking off on TikTok, and I think it's an important conversation. You know, because there is this whole additional level to how children are treated when they are the ones in the public eye. So if children enter the media spotlight, it's often when they're most vulnerable to exploitation, either by their parents or by industry professionals, or even sometimes by companies trying to piggyback off of their fame. And I have some info about this, and just trigger warning here, it's going to be bad. It's bad shit that happens to kids when they end up famous. And this bad shit does include sexual assault of minors, because the world we live in is fucked up and terrible. So, you know, one of the first ways that children who enter celebrity spotlight, celebrity kind of culture, experience exploitation, one of the first ways they do is at the hands of their parents sometimes, right? Like one of the most current examples I can think of parental exploitation is Jeanette McCurdy's book.
I was literally that was the first thing that came to mind.
Right. Her book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, which is about her experiences as a child actor. Do you know anything about the book?
I think I saw like a portion of an interview on TikTok, and it sounded just horrible.
Yeah, it sounds really bad. Like her mom, before she was even famous, used to make her pray to God that she would be accepted by a child talent agency. So her mom was just kind of like, this is the most important thing that will ever happen to you. When an agent did accept her, her mom forced her to go to acting classes because the agent was like, this kid's not very good. Her mom prohibited her from taking bathroom breaks while she was working because she said it looked unprofessional. Her mom would also shower with her while examining her body to look for signs of maturity that might adversely affect her career as a child actor. Her mom forced her to work against her will a number of times. She never wanted to be a child actor. She would tell her mom, she would cry. She'd be like, I don't want to do this. And her mom would be like, you're ruining this for us, and put all this weird guilt on her. Her mom would also dress her in clothing that was like too mature and sexy for her age. Her mom restricted her diet to try to keep her looking young as long as possible. She like basically starved her so she could pass as a child for as long as she could. And her mom stole money from her. Her mom was like, just so you know, I'm not taking any of your money, just a salary for me and money for basic necessities, but like never told her what that was. No transparency, really just used her as a cash cow. And it's really, really sad. Macaulay Culkin also famously had a similar situation with his parents. I don't know if you remember this, because this was when we were growing up.
Yeah, I feel like he had to like divorce his parents because they took all his money or something.
Yes, they stole a bunch of money from him, and at 15 years old, he sued them and filed for emancipation.
Oh yeah, I feel like at the time they like you can divorce your parents, but it's really like emancipation.
Yes, exactly. Also, Drew Barrymore's mom, I didn't know this. Drew Barrymore's mom, it's kind of a tongue twister, started taking her to Studio 54 when she was 9 years old.
I remember these stories.
Yeah, she made her dance with adult men and do drugs with them as a kid. And by age 12, her mom was giving her cocaine daily. And at 15, again, Drew Barrymore filed for emancipation. So at age 16, Drew Barrymore was cleaning toilets to support herself as a legally emancipated minor.
Wow.
And remember, she was in E.T. at a pretty young age.
Yeah, she was a big child actress.
She was. Another awful celebrity parent, obviously Brooke Shields' mom. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's this podcast, you must remember this. There's a season on Polly Platt where they talk a little bit about Brooke Shields. It is just...
It's really, really sad. When Brooke Shields was 10 years old, her mom sold nude photos of her to Playboy. Mm-hmm. And she described the nude photo shoot as a young vamp and a harlot, a seasoned sexual veteran, a provocative child woman, an erotic and sensual sex symbol, the Lolita of her generation. She was 10. Really fucked up. Lindsay Lohan's mother forced Lindsay Lohan to sign a lifetime management agreement at just 10 years old that gave her a huge cut of everything her daughter earned.
At 10?
10 years old, yeah. And then, of course, Britney Spears, who we've talked about, who was in the conservatorship with her father, where he controlled all of her income well into her adulthood.
So
from
fucked.
childhood, yeah. There's also this whole other area of exploitation that happens once you start to get famous. You enter the world of industry professional exploitation, just like adults around you at work, basically. So Jeanette McCurdy experienced this, which she talked about in the book too. She said that she felt super sexualized on the TV show iCarly that she was on. She was forced to wear bikinis, even though she didn't feel comfortable in it. She was pressured to drink alcohol at age 18 with other members of the cast. She was subjected to massages from the show creator. She said, my whole childhood and adolescence were very exploited. There were cases where people had the best intentions and maybe didn't know what they were doing. And there were also cases where they did. They knew exactly what they were doing. And this type of bizarre, inappropriate behavior seems to happen a lot with child actors in particular. There's one child actress, Allison Stoner, who worked in movies like Cheaper by the Dozen and Disney Channel shows like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And Allison Stoner describes being taken advantage of throughout her career, experiencing sexual harassment, being targeted with industry talk that led to eating disorders, and experiencing child labor law violations. She said of the experience, nothing was designed for me to end up normal, stable, alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another child actor on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody was Cole Sprouse. And he said, when you're a child actor, you're a minor. And so a lot of the larger business decisions that are controlling your career are outside of your agency. So it's just like you're being forced to work against your will, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, because I'm sure like if you're like, I quit, your parent could just be like, well,
no, you don't.
You can't.
Yeah, and that's what happened with Jeanette McCurdy. She tried to quit, and her mom was just like, There's also Raven Simone, who said that she couldn't even eat a bagel on set without adults around her working on the show telling her that she wasn't allowed to because she was getting fat at age 7.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Not that that's okay at any age, obviously. People should eat food. Even Miley Cyrus said that people, were really shocked when she switched from her, like, sweet country, whatever look to that more, like, pop rock image as she got older. But she said, it should be more shocking that when I was 11 or 12, I was put in full hair and makeup, a wig, and told what to wear by a group of mostly older men.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty creepy. Justin Bieber also says at one point he was so tired of working as a kid, as a minor, that he hid his own passport as an excuse not to go on the Today Show. But his industry, label was just like, no, you have to work, whether you want to or not. Ugh. So many child performers also, this is where it gets really bad, they face sexual assault from people within the industry. There's Angelo Garcia from the boy band Menudo. Do you remember Menudo when we were growing up? They were super popular.
A little bit before my time, but I do recall them.
Okay, so he alleges that he was assaulted multiple times from 1988 to 1990, including by men in the band's entourage and industry inner circle. And the way that Menudo worked, if you're not familiar, is that when you hit 16, you aged out of Menudo and they would replace you with someone else who was young. So Menudo lasted for a really long time and it was always young boys, but it was different young boys. So
yeah, wasn't like Ricky Martin in Menudo?
Yeah,
like,
he was. He was the most successful person to come out of Menudo. So there were always different people, but other Menudo members, Andy Blasquez and Jonathan Montenegro, said that the Menudo production team threatened to molest them as a rite of passage into the group, and that the atmosphere was extremely sexualized with constant remarks about anal sex, while the boys, who were all aged 13 to 16, were forced to work in that environment. Some Menudo members also were forced to work through intense medical conditions, like somebody had to perform with a burst appendix. Yeah. Another Disney Channel actor and member of the boy band Forever in Your Mind said he was sexually assaulted nearly weekly from the age of 12 years old on by his former manager, as well as the manager's other friends in the industry. And Lance Bass from NSYNC says when he was a teenager, people working with them in the industry were inappropriately touching them constantly. And even though they were young, they made jokes about it. They're like, oh, these guys are all fucking pedophiles. They all knew in the band.
Ugh.
There's also audience exploitation. Like, audiences have no boundaries with child actors. You know, Mara Wilson, she became famous at age 6 when she starred in Mrs. Doubtfire. Do you remember her? She was the little girl. Yeah, she said, it was cute when 10-year-old boys sent me letters saying they were in love with me. It was not when 50-year-old men did.
Ugh.
Before I even turned 12, there were images of me on foot fetish websites and photoshopped into child pornography. Every time I felt ashamed.
Ugh.
I know, so sad. Natalie Portman also had a similar experience after being sexualized by audiences and fans following the release of Leon the Professional in the 90s. She said, being sexualized as a child took away from my own sexuality because it made me afraid. When I was in my teens, I was like, I don't want to have any love scenes or make-out scenes. I would start choosing parts that were less sexy because it made me worried about the way I was perceived and how safe I felt. Even classmates at school would bully child actors, like Rivka Reyes, who was in the movie School of Rock at age 10, said that when the movie came out, their classmates bullied them mercilessly, and also that they felt unsafe existing because of obsessive fans and being constantly sexualized.
Oof.
Yes. So then there's also the corporate exploitation, just like companies trying to cash in on these kids. One example of corporate exploitation of minors comes with how they are represented in the media. So Selena Gomez explained her childhood in the spotlight by saying, I remember just feeling really violated when I was younger, even just being on the beach. I was maybe 15 or 16 and people were taking pictures, photographers. I felt very violated. I didn't like it or understand it. And I felt that it was very weird because I was a young girl and these were grown men and I didn't like that feeling. Gomez has been working in media since the age of 7, and she struggled a lot with the experience. She said, working since I was 7, being away from my family, moving from Texas to LA, experiencing fame, being confused by what that means, trying to grow up, being in such a weird position where people are actually caring and being awkward because you're growing up, I think I was scared of it, and I probably hated most of it. In fact, a lot of media experiences are just creepy for children who end up acting in general. Like Mara Wilson also says that she remembers a journalist asking her if she had a boyfriend when Mrs. Doubtfire came out. Again, she was 6 years old.
Ew.
And she said reporters asked her who she thought the sexiest actor was and also asked her about Hugh Grant's arrest for soliciting a sex worker.
What?
Yeah, when she was a little girl.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Okay, so obviously that's all in the context of like film and like movies, more traditional methods. But also there's been a growing conversation about how this affects like social media celebrity for children as well. Because now we have all these like mommy bloggers and the kids who have grown up in the media spotlight from like mommy and family blogging. They're starting to get older and they're starting to have a lot of opinions about what they've experienced. There's this one TikTok that kind of went viral this week where an anonymous teenager wrote a letter to somebody who's been vocal about having concerns about kind of family blogging. They wrote a letter and they were like, hey, like, you know, this is my situation. I grew up in a family blogging dynamic and it has been really, really hard. Like, I don't want to disclose who I am because I don't want to cause families in my home or trouble with my family at home. But it's a really bad experience to grow up in. People will find you. People will send you inappropriate messages. Like, you will be sexualized against your will as a minor. Like, it's a bad experience being this public online. And that's kind of like just a transition into the idea of the social media celebrity in general. Like, a lot of the celebrity we've been talking about so far has been really traditional media. But in reality, today we have even greater opportunities for celebrity to take hold in society because of the advent of social media. Like, unlike traditional celebrities also, the median social media influencer pay is just $38,000 per year. And most people who are paid social media influencers as a job, they earn just $29,000 a year.
Wow.
So there's a few people who earn a lot more. Most people earn 29, and the average is 38. And as someone who, I now have 1.3 million followers on the internet, the most I have ever earned in a year from influencing, big air quotes, was $500. And that was, I think I talked about this on one of our bonus episodes years ago. It's because Diesel paid me $500 one year.
Ooh.
So it is really difficult to monetize an online presence, but some people are able to do it. However, even a successful influencer has nowhere near the resources that a mainstream celebrity might, even though they have to contend with the same issues related to fame. So one commenter on a Reddit forum asking what it's like if you know a social media influencer in real life said, if you look at her social media, talking about the person they know who's an influencer, you think she was a supermodel millionaire who goes on a ton of trips. She's actually chronically unemployed and has an income of less than $10,000 per year.
Wow.
And that's more the reality of what it's like to have a following online. One person, Corinne Cirilli, wrote about the effects of social media celebrity. In her article, Trying to Become an Instagram Influencer Ruined My Life, Cirilli writes, many who are trying to grow their following to make a living are finding that the more popular their Instagram profile becomes, the more stressful, isolating, and mentally toxic their real lives get. So one of the people who was profiled in her article is Megan Gentry, who's a photographer and brand influencer who explained the shift that happened in her life when she became a professional influencer. She says, I knew that if I spent more time on a post, I would get more likes on it and get more engagement. So I started scheduling my day, my friend time, my family time, all around posting, getting the perfect shot, editing it, making sure everything was flawless. That became my whole life. So Gentry described to Cirilli how her audience grew, but along with the growth came all these new problems. She started photoshopping her pictures to make herself even thinner because she knew it would get more likes, and then that led to her having an eating disorder in real life. Then she started to receive comments, private messages, and harassment, which naturally came along with having an online persona as her following grew. So she said that in 2018, she hit 10K followers, which was like a big milestone. Anybody who's like an Instagram influencer, 10K is always a big milestone because you get the K after it and it just means something. I don't know. But that's also when she started to get a lot more messages from strangers. It was really exciting, she said, but it also got a lot easier for strangers to bash me, and it became dehumanizing in a way. Cirilli also describes the financial toll that social media celebrity took on her life. She spent money on outfits and hair products and everything else she thought might help make her, take the perfect photo. And she even began working with a production company, but none of it ever resulted in financial success. She says, they sold me a story that I would get a lot of brands to sponsor me. It never happened. I was doing this with the hopes that I would see a lot of return on that. And 6 months later, I'm heavily in debt. The company conveniently pulled the plug on the project as soon as I broke up with my boyfriend, who was a co-founder of the production company, before we even got into post-production. The men running the company treated me as completely disposable. And this is, again, pretty par for the course. You hear a lot of people investing money because they think being a social media influencer will be lucrative, and what they find is they don't make any money from it. They go into debt a lot of times, and they have to deal with all the negative side effects of the fame without any of the good stuff. So another commenter on that Reddit forum where people are talking about, influencers they know in real life, this other commenter said, my ex's sister is an influencer, beauty and makeup, with over 1 million followers on YouTube. She was so anxious and stressed all the time. If she got some backlash or bad comments, she'd be so upset. She was on a lot of anti-anxiety medication. And according to Larissa May, people that are spending more than 3 hours a day on social media are just more likely to experience symptoms of social isolation, depression, and anxiety in general. And brand influencers are virtually spending their full days on their phone because it's a full-time job. And remember, a full-time job that you're not really getting paid for. But society is telling you if you just keep at it, you'll get paid one day, even though statistically that doesn't appear to be true at all. So Larissa May explains, with media and magazines for the past 50 years, we've been comparing ourselves to the people on the billboard. Now, that billboard is in your hand at all times. You yourself are on that billboard every day of your life. And everyone is constantly comparing themselves. These comparison tactics and thoughts are part of humanity, yes, but social media places a huge magnifier on that construct. And to play off of this, it's bad for the people who are trying to do the influencing, trying to be these social media celebrities. It's also bad for the people consuming it. Like, one survey by the YMCA spoke to kids between the ages of 11 to 16 and found that 62% of 15 and 16-year-olds felt that social media had accelerated the expectations on their personal appearance. Like, they thought that social media made them feel more pressure to look a certain way. So basically, social media celebrity is bad for the influencers, who are seldom appropriately paid for their labor, and bad for the people who follow them, who are just indeed more likely to compare themselves and feel that they come up short. And the only people really winning from social media influencing are companies. Companies are making money off it. So I think one of the more interesting points of all of this is just that. It's that role that celebrities have in capitalism on the whole. Like, sometimes they appear to be victims of capitalism, right? They're workers who are often exploited or taken advantage of, especially like in the case of social media celebrities who don't make very much money, if any. Other times, they themselves employ labor forces who they in turn exploit, and they take on more of that like capitalist kind of ownership class. Like, for example, Beyonce. It's a great example. Beyonce, on average, earns $5.2 million per concert. However, at every concert, there are hundreds of employees, most not employed maybe by her directly, but by companies that work with her management or record label, who are paid a lot less than that, right? Like, how much is the person making who runs the merch booth at the Beyonce show? It's probably minimum wage. So where do celebrities fall on this class scale? We know that they are often the uber rich, acquiring a pointless and senseless amount of money that no person needs, contributing to class stratification and the oppression of the poor. We know that they have more money than they need, and they are indeed hoarding wealth. But their position is complicated in our current system, right? Like, Beyonce and Jay-Z combined have a net worth of more than $1 billion. They are literally billionaires. And even if they are positioned as workers in some capacity, it's surely not in the same way that people working the merch stands at the concerts are, right? There's no way to compare them, even if they are technically laborers in some capacities, to laborers working for a minimum wage, or even laborers making $100,000 a year. You know, $1 billion is so much money. So I keep coming back to this idea that celebrities exist to uphold the myth of the American dream. Racism doesn't exist because Beyonce's rich, right? That's what we're told. Or the meritocracy is real because after struggling with addiction, Robert Downey Jr. was still able to become Iron Man. Or capitalism isn't failing because YouTube made Justin Bieber rich. Like, this is the idea that we're told. And it seems like the celebrity story in the United States is our modern day, like, mythology. It's just shoved down our throats to remind us that, look, the system isn't broken. You're just a loser. And maybe if you were more like Beyonce, you wouldn't have credit card debt. Something like that, you know?
I feel like that's, like, totally it. It's like, you know, the American dream is now, like, the media dream, you know?
Yes, exactly. But it's hard to see the actual value that having celebrities serves in society at all. Like, obviously it's a form of entertainment, but it strikes me that we should have access to other forms of entertainment that are healthier for everybody to participate on. And celebrity culture is harmful for both the celebrities and the fan base, just in different ways. Who is benefiting from this? And when I think about who's benefiting, it's the people at the companies whose names we don't even know, who just siphon money off the top of every record deal, of every concert deal. You know, it's those people who are profiting the most, while everybody else just has these weird, fucked up interactions with it. And so this led me to the question, which I think is the biggest question of the episode, which is, what is the most ethical way for entertainment to function in society if we want to do away with the construct of the celebrity and all of the gross, weird financial issues that accompany it? So social media itself seems to be, like, to me, maybe half right when addressing the issue of entertainment. There's this, like, normalization or democratization of social media that does allow for wide varieties of entertainment to take hold, which creates a space where different looking people from different backgrounds can share their stories or their skits or make music or showcase different talents or interests or whatever. However, it still exists within the vacuum of capitalism, meaning these social media platforms are owned by for-profit corporations whose primary incentive is to keep people on the app or website or whatever as long as possible for as cheap as possible so that they can sell ad space. That means they're underpaying the entertainers while favoring sensationalized content without any concern for the well-being of the people creating the content. And the algorithm is just, like, favoring drama and toxicity and fighting, which directs more of that type of bullying and harassment towards content creators who, again, are underpaid at best or unpaid completely at worst. It's like we need to find a way to keep the democratization of entertainment while stripping away the profit incentive, valuing or rewarding entertainers for their work in a way that makes more sense with the needs of the community on the whole. And remembering to humanize entertainers as people, which means respecting their boundaries and their privacy and their fallibility and their ability to make mistakes. Basically, I feel like we need to stop viewing celebrities as gods and instead view them more as workers, like giving them paychecks that match their output accordingly, like a whole lot less money for the uber famous, and maybe more for the bedroom social media entertainer, just doing it like bare bones from their house. We need better consumers of entertainment too, which means allowing for privacy and boundaries and humanity. And we also probably need to stop chasing the celebrity gossip, especially when it comes to these small-scale entertainers. Obviously, like, deplatforming people who do fucked up things is rational, but going into, like, weeks-long hate trains based on assuming things in bad faith, or weird games of telephone with unsubstantiated claims that aren't fact-checked, or, you don't even know if they're real, it's not productive to establishing good social ties for anyone. And that's something that, like, I just saw somebody on TikTok have to deal with. Somebody literally photoshopped a fake message from them and was like, look what this famous TikTok creator said to me. And this TikTok creator is like literally crying. She's a hairstylist. In her video, she's like, I didn't fucking say this. This person just photoshopped this. I have no idea. Like, I would not even mention this person. I don't know why this would happen. But again, it's like, these things are able to spiral kind of out of control because the person on the other end of the screen views that person with 2 million followers or whatever as a rich and powerful and successful person. But in reality, like, that person's probably not even able to monetize that online presence. They have a day job just like anybody else,
Yeah.
This is an entertainment service they provide for free, for fun, and the expectation is that they handle it like Tom Cruise with a full PR team, and millions of dollars and a big fancy house that they can sit at and money in the bank where they don't have to work for weeks at a time. And that, I think, is like a difficult thing that people as consumers need to rationally understand. And also, going along with this, I think we just need to create like IRL communities that facilitate strong social bonds with people who are geographically closest to us. So we don't feel the need to supplement those connections with parasocial dynamics to the extent that we currently do. So I feel like the answer is that we need to redistribute Bruce Springsteen's money and ease up on the teenage girl in her bedroom. I think that's the plan. But we also need to take accountability for our actions as consumers of celebrity culture as well. Like, we don't want a society where, the next Amy Winehouse situation that happens, we're all shoving popcorn in our mouths and gleefully watching as someone self-destructs into total tragedy.
Yeah, I think about, like, Anna Nicole Smith a lot.
Yes, like, exactly.
So, like, I think you and I bonded over listening to the You're Wrong About episodes about the 90s maligned woman in the media, like Amy Fisher, Monica Lewinsky, Princess Diana. Like, it's just like, now people look back and are like, oh my God. Like, now people are like, oh my God, Monica Lewinsky was 21.
Yeah, Monica Lewinsky was an underpaid intern who was victimized by the most powerful man in the United States.
And people were making foul, like, late night jokes. Like,
her life was ruined.
Her life was like fucking, like, I mean, her life was really fucked up for a long time.
Yeah, it really was for decades.
Yeah, I think, like, only now, like, people are like, oh yeah, that was fucked up.
Super fucked up. I think too, I think maybe I mentioned this in an episode because I thought it was really funny. Like, funny, sad, funny, not haha, funny, sad though, where somebody on the internet was like, oh yeah, like the standards basically for what we hold people to on the internet are just like, they vacillate wildly. Like, you can have two guys who are adult men who have a podcast where they say the N-word and say like misogynistic shit and they're just like awful bigots. And we're like, yeah, these people are awful, but freedom of speech, I guess. And then you'll have like a teenage girl who wore an outfit that some people decided had Republican vibes and they're like canceled with the same level of vitriol,
Yeah.
Which is like, not a cancel culture thing. It's like deplatforming, I think, is like I said, a rational thing. That's just the natural consequence of your actions, But I think like the way that like we just hold anybody with an audience of any kind to these really, really high standards without applying nuance to their situation. Like,
yeah, I mean, and life in general, I mean, like, nuance is hard for the human brain. I get it. Like, but I think that, like, the way the media is structured now is very, like, very, I'm sorry,
fast.
I'm, like, snapping my fingers all wild. But it's, like, it really is about, like, getting clicks as fast as possible, keeping your eyes on the algorithm. And it's, like, it's really hard to, like, I feel like we're so distracted by all this. Like, there's some actual really pressing issues at hand. Like, if you think about, like, people in poverty, people who need food now, people who need healthcare now, people who need housing now, fucking climate, you know?
Right.
We want to still be around here in fucking 20 years, you know?
Right, but instead, now the information we're consuming is about Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly having a weird relationship. And it's like, just let this girl be in love with a terrible man. I've been in love with many terrible men. Just let her love the terrible man. I don't need to be involved in that.
But it, you know, it, to me, it's like, it's a symptom of a larger thing where I feel like most people are really on the same page where they're like, people shouldn't die and struggle over pointless shit that could be easily solved.
Yes.
Like, yes. I think that's I think I'm going to just hot take broad stroke. Most people don't want other people to suffer needlessly. You know, or at all. You know, like, I think most people don't want other people to suffer. You know? And I think that, like, you know, it's like a divisive strategy. Not that you have to be friends with assholes. I'm not,
No,
you know,
you definitely don't.
But it's just,
you don't
like,
have to like everybody.
I
that's
think
fine.
that's, like, you know, when you talk about, like, infighting, you know, it's like, some people have, like, a more, there's, like, a bigger common cause of, like, lessening the struggles of life, you know? Right. And, like, if you're arguing or distracted by Megan Fox's thumbs.
Right.
Or just, you know, like, I don't know. Maybe this is, like, I'm sure there's, like a philosopher out there who has, like, a really good, like what do you call it when you do a thesis on celebrity and, like, morality or whatever. But it's just, like, I think it is a symptom of something bigger, you know?
Yes. I think also, like, I think just having the consciousness to recognize, like, when somebody's doing something as a hobby or somebody's doing something as their job, and then also, if they are doing it from their job, who's profiting off of them. Yeah. And, like, who is benefiting from pitting me against Justin Bieber?
I mean, the algorithm. The
algorithm, right? Who, if somebody makes a video being like, fuck Justin Bieber, he just did this. And
the
then
gremlins,
I watch it.
They're like, ooh.
Yeah. Whoever sponsored the ad that I saw right after I scrolled away from that, the company, right, that the record label that profits off of Justin Bieber's music, the distribution platform or whatever, you know, all these people who are high up at these companies, it's like capitalism profits from me thinking Justin Bieber is the enemy. You know, wealth inequality is the enemy. Like, the need to redistribute finances and, like, wealth, that's, like, a real thing. But, like, Justin Bieber didn't invent capitalism.
Yeah, I also I hate this idea of someone just being, like, air quotes, a better person because they have some sort of notoriety. Right, yeah. Like, it doesn't make you better. Everyone is intrinsically the same.
Right. And I think that's the thing where I think about, like, the solution is to view entertainers as workers. Some people are good at storytelling. Some people are good at acting. Some people are good at making music. Like, that's their job. That's their function in society. Their function is to entertain. It's good. It's not more valuable than anybody else's job or function in society. It's not more important than being a teacher or being a garbage man or being a bus driver. We all have a role to play in society, and entertainment is important. We thrive on it. We enjoy it. But this idea that being an entertainer somehow intrinsically makes you more than or better than or more special, I think that really is the crux of the issue, because it means that we don't feel as bad when we hate them. Because we're like, oh, you think you're fucking special? Like, we always feel like we're punching up. And what that does is it distracts us from real things that are going on in our lives, right? It kind of makes it so that the other person feels more justified in taking a higher salary than everybody else because they have to deal with the stress of having to deal with us, the audience. And nobody wins. Nobody wins except for companies.
Yeah.
Nobody is winning. Anyway, so, I don't know. We got to make entertainers workers.
Yeah. Oh, there are also more people who make their living off YouTubers than there are coal miners in the United States.
Right. So we got to make the YouTubers the new coal miners.
Got to unionize them.
We got to unionize the influencers, and we got to take some money from the rich people, but also maybe go easy on them. If that's the trade-off. You're a rich entertainer, we're going to take your money away, but we promise to be a little nicer to you.
Sure.
And not to bug you in public.
I guess, yeah.
Right? I feel like we could make that work.
I'm open to this.
Yeah, give us the money. Cut us the check. We'll get it to everybody who needs the money. We'll redistribute it. And we'll leave you the fuck alone when you want to go get a cup of coffee or walk through the park.
Cool.
I like it. We fixed it. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Pick Me Up, I'm Scared. If you would like to join us on our Patreon, which we mentioned in this episode, you can find us at patreon.com/pickmeupimscared. It is $2 a month to join us there. We post 2 bonus episodes per month, and also you can message us show ideas, give us feedback, the whole 9 yards. And if you don't want to give us your $2 a month, I totally get it. I wouldn't want to give me my $2 a month either. We're just happy you're here.